TNT Sports presents NASCAR. Tonight, it's the Pepsi 400 at Daytona from the Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. It is a hot, humid night, but a very dry evening for now. Jimmie Johnson looking for another win at Daytona, already aboard his car on pit road. He rolls off fourth tonight. Championship leader Jeff Gordon starts on the pole after qualifying here was rained out on Friday. He will lead the field to the green flag for 400 miles. Jeff Burton, a former winner of this race, getting strapped in, getting ready to go. The Pepsi 400, the thoughts of some of the drivers on winning this race.
We used to say it was like a 185 or 190 mile an hour chess match, and it still is to a certain degree. The July race is a lot different because it gets hot. I mean, this is a really big handling race.
Just try to stay at the front, try to, keep in position all day long, try to keep the fenders on it. Obviously, slam, drafting, bumping into somebody too hard, you can, you hurt your aero, and then you don't have the chance when you get the opportunity at the end.
And when you come here, it's always hot, slick, you're sliding around, and you got to keep the car on the loose side just so that you're able to maneuver once the tires get old.
This will be the 98th race at the Daytona International Speedway. This is the first time qualifications have been canceled due to rain. So the field was set by the NASCAR rulebook. That puts championship leader Jeff Gordon and the man second in points, Denny Hamlin, on the front row, followed by Matt Kenseth, Jimmie Johnson, and Jeff Burton. Big night here at Daytona, big night for all of us on TNT. Here are the words you've been waiting for. Let's go trackside and get the command.
And now, race fans, for the most famous words in motorsports, the star of Universal Pictures movie, I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry, Kevin James.
I just got three things to say. God bless our troops, God bless America, and gentlemen, start your engine!
If you ever get the chance to give the command, that's the lesson you should follow. Kevin James with those famous words. And when we come back to Daytona, we will be wide open on TNT.
Congratulations to Pepsi and Jeff Gordon.
10 years running!
10 years? Has it been 10 years already?
It just seems like yesterday that Pepsi and Jeff
first teamed up, and they took the checker flag right here at Daytona! Woo!
talk about teamwork.
And chemistry.
It's important. It's everything. Jeff and Pepsi have
had it since the beginning. They've had some
amazing finishes, too. And what better way to
celebrate as Jeff goes for his fourth Pepsi 400. Win tonight. Yeah! He's going to drive the wheels off that 24 car.
To Pepsi!
And Jeff Gordon!
10 years running?
And 10 years winning.
Yeah!
And here's to many more. Thanks to everyone, this has been a milestone year all around. From the great start our team has had this season to the celebration of my partnership with Pepsi. This also marks a big year for TNT with the introduction of their new wide open coverage broadcast format. As someone who knows a little something about running wide open, it's only fitting that they asked me to introduce this revolutionary new concept for NASCAR coverage. The fact is, a majority of viewers still watch the race on a 4x3 television. You guys get this. Unfortunately, this doesn't leave much room for in-race stats like running order and other race information. The graphics must be superimposed over the footage. So the director and camera operators are left with very little real estate to capture the action. Now, if you're cool enough to have an HD TV, you get this. A 16:9 image or 22% more picture. And if you know anything about watching NASCAR, that 22% makes a huge difference. So TNT has found a way to give you guys complete coverage whether you're watching a standard or high-definition television. The idea was to still that 16:9 action, strip away all the graphics, and give it to the 4x3 viewers. Now, when you watch a 16:9 image on a 4x3 TV, it gives you that letterbox effect. TNT plans to make use of that letterbox space by moving the footage up and filling in the leftover area with all the stats and information you want to see, but without it getting in the way of the action. So buckle up, because this is TNT's wide open coverage. On behalf of Pepsi and its bottlers, enjoy the Pepsi 400.
TNT Sports live at the Daytona International Speedway for the Pepsi 400. And now you know the ground rules. We are wide open from green flag to checkered flag for tonight's running here on TNT. Hi, everybody. Bill Weber along with Wally Dellenbach and Kyle Petty, and thanks for joining us for our wide-open coverage of the Pepsi 400. A number of stories to go over before we go green, but first of all, let's start with qualifying. It was rained out. That puts the best guys in the business at the front of the field and some guys that have been struggling at the back.
But some fast guys in the back. When qualifying was rained out, the guys that are the last 5 or 6 cars, guess what? They were setting 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Those guys had to qualify on time. So they've got qualifying setups, whatever that means, because the difference between qualifying and race is so small now. The guys at the front practiced on race stuff. Jeff Gordon, guys like that, they were 20th, 15th, somewhere in that range. So the guys at the front, they're going to be race ready. The guys at the back, they're hoping for that early caution so they make a change.
This is an impound race, so once you qualified, you were not allowed to touch the car. The one thing we've been talking about for about the last hour and 45 minutes, though, is handling, and that'll be an issue.
It really is. This is a different animal from the Daytona 500 because it's normally cooler, and you can get out of the throttle and get away with it, and there's going to be a big pack all the time, but it's different here. It's hot, it's slippery. Handling is going to be a premium. The guy that can keep the gas pedal down all the time is going to be the guy that's going to win this race, and you'll see 4 or 5 guys probably that can do that and break away from the pack, so you'll have different packs, but still, handling is going to be the key. These guys are working on it really, really hard. A little bit different than in February.
The car is out on the track getting ready for tonight's running of the Pepsi 400 here at Daytona. And as you can see tonight, this is the first race at Daytona since the passing of Bill France Jr. last month. As a tribute to Mr. France, a 44th race car on the track for the pace laps tonight, driven by 7-time series champion and 7-time Daytona 500 winner Richard Petty. Mr. France was the guiding hand on the wheel of the sport for decades, and nowhere is he more fondly remembered than he is here at the World Center of Racing, the Daytona International Speedway. A salute from the fans of NASCAR and from the NASCAR family. And on one of NASCAR's biggest nights, Mr. France gets a well-deserved tribute from a king. Let's take a look at the starting grid for tonight's Pepsi 400 here at Daytona. Again, qualifying was rained out, so the starting grid set by the NASCAR rulebook. Basically, that's owner's points and on deeper through the field. On the front row, it's 4-time series champion Jeff Gordon and last week's winner, Denny Hamlin. Take you back to row 2, there you will find Matt Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson out of the Hendrick Motorsports stable. In row 3, it's former 400 winner Jeff Burton and Tony Stewart, who goes for 3 Pepsi 400s in a row tonight. Take a look at the rest of the starting grid, and Wally's going to try and jump on the radio for us.
So we'll see if we can talk to Jeff Burton. Hey, Jeff Burton, this is Wally up in the booth. Can you hear me all right? No, I guess not.
It was worth a shot, though.
It was worth a shot. He was willing to talk.
There you see back in row 10, Bobby Labonte, Juan Pablo Montoya. Row 11, Casey Mears, a winner earlier this year in the Coke 600, and Elliott Sadler. Tony Raines is in row 12, along with David Reagan.
Robbie Gordon on the inside of 13. David Stremme on the outside, the 40 car. Casey Kane on the inside of row 14. Reed Sorensen on the outside in the 41. Row 15, Sterling Marlin and Jeff Green.
Ricky Rudd on the inside and David Gilliland on the outside. All these guys got in on their points. Joe Nemechek, John Andretti, these are all the top 34, 35 in points back to this point. I think Johnny Salter's the 35th car in points on the inside, and Brian Vickers on the outside. These are the guys that got in because of the points on rain. This is the way it worked, which sent Boris Said and some of those guys home.
Paul Menard, David Rudiman back in row 21.
And some of these guys, Kyle, were in trouble. I mean, you know, if qualifying would have went through, a lot of these guys would have went home.
Yeah, some of these guys would have went home if qualifying had gone all the way through, because Boris said, and there were a couple of cars, even Kenny Wallace had a great qualifying
Mayfield
lap.
was up there.
Mayfield was up there. Those guys were in the top 4 or 5, and that's what, like we talked about at the beginning here, the guys that are starting first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, they did strictly race stuff. The guys at the back did strictly qualifying.
And you saw that Ricky Rudd had to go to the rear of the field. That's for adjustments after qualifying at an impound race. Field will get 2 to go when they get to the start-finish line, this time on this 2.5-mile track. TNT would like to thank our sponsors for tonight's wide-open coverage of the Pepsi 400. Ford, Nextel, Miller Lite, AutoZone, DirecTV, Goodyear, Subway Restaurants, the Principal Financial Group, Toyota, and Pepsi. And a big thanks to those folks for tonight's wide open coverage here on TNT. You can see Richard.
King's going to the back, Kyle.
King's going
he
to
got
the
out of line.
Hey, they must have made an illegal change here before the race even started. He was on the pole, but this is a cool visual right here, splitting this in honor of Bill France Jr.
Is there any chance he'll stay out there, Kyle?
No, I think my mother told him just to put just enough fuel in it to make it like 2 or 3 laps, so there's no chance he's going to stay.
For 10 years, Pepsi and Jeff Gordon have been a winning combination. Let's race down memory lane and visit victory lane with the 4-time series champion.
Pepsi and Jeff Gordon, 10 years running, 10 years of winning.
He has amazed me so many times in the car I can't even count.
There's no one that has a resume to even compete with Jeff Gordon in the last decade.
The record speaks for itself.
Congratulations on 10 years with Pepsi.
You deserve every bit of the success you've had.
That's a long run and a lot of successful time.
Jeff, thanks for a great 10 years. Here's to our next trip to Victory Lane. New from the makers of Pepsi, Jeff Gordon, 24 Energy. For a limited time only, it's going fast.
Field moving out of turn 4. They'll get the 1 to go signal this time. So many stories tonight. Last time this car will ever race here at Daytona. Last race for Dale Earnhardt Jr. for DEI at Daytona. Final stories from pit road. Ladies first. Here's Lindsay Zarniak.
For Matt Kenseth, Daytona in February is very frustrating. In the past 3 Daytona 500s, his car's been great, but their day has ended in heartbreak. In July is when Matt Kenseth rebounds. The last 2 races here, he's had top 10 finishes. He looks to do the same tonight, starting from 3rd. Ralph Shaheen.
This racetrack can get really slick in July. Tony Stewart thinks that can be an advantage for him since he grew up dirt track racing. He just wishes everybody would stop reminding him and his team that they have not won a points race yet this year. They're very confident, they've been very fast, and if it wasn't for some bad luck, they might have multiple victories. That first win could come here tonight. He has 2 points race wins right here at Daytona in July, Matt Yoakum.
Ralph, it's been a special weekend for the stars of today, getting a chance to spend time with the heroes of yesterday, but nobody has had a bigger weekend than Kevin Harvick. Friday, he left his right footprint and handprint in the Daytona 500 Champions Walk of Fame. On Thursday, he quit one practice early. The second practice, he left the race car all smiles, knowing handling is going to be so important, and he has a great race car. Finished 6th with it at Talladega. He's hoping to become the first guy to sweep both races at Daytona since '82 when he was 7 years old. To Marty Snyder.
Well, Matt, the Daytona 500 for Clint Boyer was not that good. He left here upside down and on fire, but tonight might be his lucky night. Check out the date. It is 07, 07, 07, and of course Boyer drives the 07 car. If he's able to win tonight, he'll become the third first-time winner in the last 5 races. This team qualified 12th, but the pit stall they got tonight, number 7. How about that, Larry Mack?
Well, Marty, I think it's going to be a night of comers and goers because so many of these teams, they have no idea what the car's going to handle like. But a lot like Wally and Bill, I want to watch those guys at the back of the field because they knew they had to qualify on time. They had to be very aggressive with setup. They had to be very aggressive with engines. So my question is, how much did they step across the line of the durability of these engines? Go back to the last restrictor plate impound race at Talladega. Half of the go-homers blew engines on into that race.
Thanks, Larry. Hope all you guys have a great night down there for the Pepsi 400. You excited?
This is good racing right here. A lot of fun. It's under the lights, and this is the Pepsi 400.
It's the Pepsi 400. Let me tell you something. It's Daytona, and that's what you got to look at. And I don't mean to discount these guys that are at the back of the pack. Boris said, had to qualify last time, set on a pole, and went all the way to the front all day long. So these guys can't come from the back to the front.
Elliott Sadler apparently has a problem. No first or second gear. Only the 3rd time in the modern era NASCAR has raced on July 7th. The other 2 races were both won by an Earnhardt, junior and senior, were wide open in green. That's half a lap. About a lap from now, they'll be up to full speed. You saw Elliott Sadler dropping to the back. Jeff Gordon trying to pull away at the front. Now they're 2 by 2. Wow, 5 bonus points for leading that lap. Jeff Gordon got him. Update from Marty Snyder.
Bill, real quick, Elliott Sadler said before the start, as you mentioned, no first or second gear, said he just wanted to get out of the way. He didn't want to get run over.
And I think the reason why he didn't drop to the back, Kyle, is because if he would have dropped to the back, the pack would have left him. He at least got rolling enough to where he's at least hung on to the back of the pack right now.
Yeah, and that's a great observation because if he had dropped to the back, like you said, he started, what, 15th, 18th, 19th, wherever he's at in points, and he dropped back to almost 42nd or 43rd, but he was able to keep a car behind him that kept him pushed up in the pack. What's going to be interesting is if we follow that story for the rest of the night to see what his pit road is, because everything about pit road is second gear at a certain RPM, and if he doesn't have second gear, what's the RPM going to be in 3rd, or how's he going to get down pit road?
Well, and also, even if he comes in with a pack of cars, they're going to leave him. If you don't have those 2 gears, you're in big trouble.
Sadler started 22nd.
I think, you know, after a lap or 2 here, I think you'll start seeing these guys break out to 3 wide. I mean, the cars are moving around a lot. Whoa, Stewart cut it close there on Jimmy Johnson. And they do. There's going to, you could just tell those first couple laps, these guys were already anxious.
These guys are pumped up ready for this race because of 2 reasons. And the main reason being they haven't been in race configuration and race conditions since Thursday afternoon when they did all their practice. They just came in Friday and won 1 single lap. And as you know, Wally, you just kind of get out there and run your lap and that's it. And then some of
we got trouble. Jeff Green in the 66 and Casey Kane.
And there was a report that somewhere back in the field that someone might have been leaking.
Caution is out, it's behind.
That almost looked the way they were hooked there, Kyle, that somebody thought somebody was clear and wasn't.
Yeah, it almost looked like, and you can't tell until we see it, but it's almost like somebody jogged left or right when he thought somebody wasn't there.
Let's take a look from upstairs. First caution of the night.
Yep, and that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Jeff Green thought he was clear. Casey Kane was just up on his right rear quarter panel, and there wasn't enough room. And it's not like you can jump out of the gas really hard or jump on the brakes. You got people right behind you, but you can see Casey Kane was there.
Yeah, Casey was there, but I don't think Jeff had any idea that he was there, because this early in the race, Jeff was driving a conservative line. He just swung out a little bit to get down in the corner, and I don't think either one of them knew it.
And Jeff had such a solid run last week at New Hampshire.
And I'm going to tell you something. Jeff has been taken out of races at Daytona just like this on 2 or 3 different occasions when I was behind him. And not of his fault. This is just a racing incident.
Right here.
And it was nothing. It was so close. I mean, just...
All right, going to have a wreck here behind us. Wave them off here, wave them off.
I tell you what, when we see the damage, if we could get a close-up of the damage on the 9 car, you'll be surprised at how little damage it really is on the right front, on that front. It's just barely caved that corner in over on the left side. His biggest damage is on the right side.
Yeah, it's just, they could get that left front fixed. That's Larry, I mean, as you know, they've got to get that part of the car fixed because of the aerodynamics.
I mean, there's no question, Wally, the most important part of that race car is the front fenders and the rear spoiler. But the one thing I want to point out, we talked in the pre-race about how important the spotters on top of the grandstands. Where those guys were going out of the tri-oval down to turn 1, it's almost the worst situation for the spotter because they're actually driving away from the spotter. All he's looking at is the back of the car. And I know when I've spotted here, what I've told the guys, you're on your own for a second till I can get you down into turn 1.
You know, also, Larry, right up against the wall, along the front straightaway, you're in the shadow if you're up right against the wall.
Tough situation for the spotter right there.
So Kane on pit road early, 5 laps complete here in the Pepsi 400. Contact with Jeff Green.
Get the left front.
Green to the garage.
Yeah, Green's got a little bit more damage there than Casey Kane.
Marty?
Yeah, Bill, the damage not really as bad as they thought it would be for Casey Kane. They're really focusing here on the left front. They've already taken right side tires. They put on left side tires just now. They're going to patch with Bear Bond this very left front of the car for Casey Kane, get him back out on the racetrack to update his teammate Elliott Sadler. He said in first and second gear, sounds like there's a real bad rattle in the transmission, so he's not there. So he has to start in third. As you guys pointed out, he is very concerned about pit road.
Thanks, Marty. The only full-screen commercial content in tonight's race broadcast comes from our local cable partners. We're required to give them 3 breaks an hour. Here comes the first one. It's under caution, and our wide-open coverage continues in 90 seconds. TNT Sports live in Daytona Beach for the Pepsi 400 at Daytona under our first caution after contact between Jeff Green and Casey Kane. Casey Kane will be heading back to pit road. Field will get the 1 to go this time when they get to the start-finish line. Denny Hamlin is the race leader, then Jeff Gordon, Matt Kenseth, Tony Stewart, and Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, you know, we go back and look at the 9 car here. We talk about, and Wally's talked about handling. Part of handling is the aerodynamics, but part of aerodynamics is shape. And the one thing they're doing here, they're putting Bear Bond on, and you can see them stretching that big red piece of Bear Bond over this. There's a hole in the front end. All they're really doing is filling in the hole, but they've not filled in the shape. So that car's still not aerodynamic. It's kept the air from blowing in, but the air is still not going to flow. They had a piece there that they looked like they were trying to fit, and they just kind of jumped away from it and decided just to cover the hole.
Marty, what's the plan?
Well, guys, one of the keys also stay on the lead lap, and that's what they're trying to do. They sent him back out on pit road, trying to catch the rest of the field. He caught up to them and then came to pit road once again. Now they're putting on that second patch that you wanted on, Kyle. There's damage also further down the right side. They're worried about that. They've got to clear that from the right side tires, or else they'll have a fender rub the entire night, and that won't work very well either.
Thanks, Marty. Lights back on the pace car. This portion of NASCAR on TNT's wide open coverage is brought to you by Goodyear. Get there. And the blimp is here tonight, high above the 2.5-mile tri-oval here at the Daytona International Speedway. Dale Jarrett on pit road.
Some of the cars that we talked about earlier in the day who had their qualifying setups, let's just call them in parentheses, okay? Because
they had to race their way in.
They had to race their way in. They've been on pit road during this caution to make adjustments. The 44, that's the second or third time, at least the second time, and they spent a lot of time up under the left front. I don't know what they changed, whether they adjusted the shock. You can sweep the shock and change rebound to keep that and make it a little bit more aggressive rebound-wise to qualify. They may have taken some of that out for handling, and the 22 obviously was a car that had to make it on time, and he's been down pit road.
There were 53 cars here. A handful of them had to get in on their time. Qualifying was rained out, so the field was set by the rule book. Tonight's aerial coverage is brought to you by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR, helping NASCAR drivers to get to the finish line for the past 25 years. Let's check in with the guys up high.
Wow, these are the best seats in the house.
Yeah, sure is exciting watching the Pepsi 400 from up here. I mean, we could see the pit crews and all the fans camping out. Even that guy over there selling nachos.
Nachos. Look at all the big logos painted on the cars.
Yeah, I wonder where they got that idea. We've got our logo on every one of those cars, too.
Being here, it makes me proud to know that Goodyear plays such an important part in all the action.
Well, that's true. Goodyear's been the official tire of NASCAR for the last 25 years.
Wow. 25 years ago, you were probably wearing acid-wash jeans and watching The Intimidator.
Right.
Oh, and I was wearing diapers and playing with toy cars.
My point is, every NASCAR driver is riding on Goodyear tires, including every winner.
If you're in the pit crew, it must feel good to know that you put on a winning tire.
Probably does. You know, each year, Goodyear's Akron Technical Center produces over 150,000 race tires just for NASCAR.
Get out of here.
Goodyear tires may adapt race to race, too, depending on the degree of track banking and the type of racing surface.
You're like a NASCAR encyclopedia.
Well, DuPont Kevlar materials have reinforced Goodyear Eagle race tires for years.
Well, that's really cool because Kevlar is also found in Goodyear tires featuring silent armor technology.
That's right. You know, on any race weekend, a NASCAR team is going to use somewhere between 9 to 14 sets of tires.
Believe it.
Well, you better believe it, because it's true.
No, I can't believe we didn't go visit the nacho guy before we got up here.
You want a fruit chew?
Oh, they're not the same.
Anyway, it's time for us to sign off, so remember, whatever your destination,
including Victory Lane,
Goodyear tires will help you get there.
And from the blimp, you can see the field moving through turn 4. Coming to get the green this time. They'll complete lap number 8. Denny Hamlin is the race leader. Single file restart, pace car to pit road. It'll take about a lap and a half to get to full speed. And these restarts, always critical. Green flag in the air.
And normally you'll see somebody, if these guys get a run on the leader, like you see right here, they're going to make their move or they're going to look. Now, Hamlin's going to block a little bit. If he can, try to keep him behind him. Then it makes it a little bit tougher for them to make the pass once they're up to speed. But the best way to jump out on somebody is on a restart, especially if you have help.
That's one of the few times you have help is on a restart. Because once they get in line, these guys are afraid to pull out on each other, especially this early in the race. You just want to kind of maintain. And as soon as I say that, Jimmy McMurray pulls out on all of them and goes to the inside.
McMurray trying to pick up a couple of spots. There's Clint Boyer.
Gordon taking a look. He's got help.
Gordon trying to recapture the lead from Hamlin.
I don't know if he's got enough help, but Stewart's got a pretty good run. I thought he might jump up, but then he's on his teammate as well. So that's a pretty strong line right there down on the bottom.
Yeah, and you know, we talk about the racetrack being slick. Right now, the tires, because you're just coming off of a caution, have had an opportunity to cool back down. So they've still got pretty good grip in them right now. It's going to take us 10 or 15 laps before we really see these guys try to get strung out and try to get in line a little bit.
Teammates from Joe Gibbs Racing up front. The 11 of Denny Hamlin, the 20 of Tony Stewart. Let's get a report on Jeff Gordon from Marty.
Talked to Jeff right before the race, Bill, and he told me that he would try this early in the race, the high line. He's fairly convinced, though, that the bottom will be what works late in the race. He said he would try the high line early, though, just to feel it out and see what it would do. Matt?
Marty right alongside is his teammate, the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. They've been battling radio issues since the pace laps, but he's also now making some mental notes for later in the race. Here's part of the conversation on the radio. Ralph?
Matt, it's no surprise to see Denny Hamlin out front. This is a view the field has had quite a bit this year. He's led 711 laps just coming into tonight's race. That's second only to Jeff Gordon, who's only led a little bit more than 40 laps more than him coming into tonight.
McMurray, Earnhardt Jr., Kurt Busch in the middle in the 2 car.
Now this right here, Kyle, I don't know how much we're going to see once they get a bunch of lap on these tires, this 3 wide stuff, because once these cars start moving around, that 3 wide stuff is going to be really, really scary.
Yeah, I don't believe we're going to see a lot of 3 wide on 30 lap tires or 25 lap tires. We can see it right now because these cars are really sticking good. I want to go back to something that happened right here, just going out of the screen. The 24 car, he pulled out, and the 17 jumped in behind him. And Wally, you know this. There's guys that can lead, and there's guys that can push. And obviously, Jeff's just marked the 17 off his list, saying he can't push.
Yeah.
He can't push. I need to get away from the 17, but he can't get back down there in line. And he'll make a mental note of that later in the race to make sure he doesn't get hung in line with the 17. And it's funny how you're able to do that as the race goes on. You begin to check cars off your list that you don't want to be running with, whether in front of you or behind you.
This portion of NASCAR on TNT's Wide Open coverage brought to you by Nextel.
And going back to what Kyle was saying, you could draft, you know, if you've got a Ford, you can draft with a Chevy, and he may not be any good, but the next Chevy may be really, really good. Yeah, I don't know why that is, but it just depends on the car.
I don't know why it is. We used to hear people talk all the time. You know, the Chevys, if I get behind them, I just lose my nose. But I'm good behind a Ford, or if I get in front of a Ford will really push me. And it really depends on the engine combination and the gearing that some of these guys have on whether they can push or pull. Some of these guys set up to run up front with the gear-wise so that they can just get strung out and let somebody push them along. But they got to have somebody to push them, help them push through the air there.
Lindsay, how about the Ford of Matt Kenseth?
Matt Kenseth right now feels a little bit loose, and you guys, he described it earlier as saying that restrictor plates are maddening to him. He says that it's because he just hates being at the mercy of those cars behind him, just like you guys were talking about. And he says, for example, if he has a shot at second or third of the last lap, you pull out, you could end up winning, or you could end up dropping out of the top 10.
Well, you're right. I mean, you're digging every lap. I mean, it drives you crazy because you can run side by side, or you're trying to pass a guy, and you're absolutely right, Lindsay. You've got to have help to make a pass, and a lot of it sometimes.
15 races for Matt Kenseth at Daytona. His best is a 5th last July. He's led a total of just 58 laps here. He was 27th in February. Three wide.
Oh, Hamlin.
Teammates Denny Hamlin and Tony Stewart. Stewart, who was going for his 3rd straight win.
Oh, and there's still wrecking. There's Junior.
It's what Kyle talked about on the pre-race show. There's one wreck, and then there's the follow-up wreck. And Junior is in it.
Rick Sorensen also in it.
And that's a perfect example of the wreck being at the front of the pack. And the front end hurt much, so. And people behind them trying to avoid them running over each other.
Well, as you can see, Stewart had no place to go. He had no time to even react.
Denny Hamlin, last week's winner. Steering wheel off.
There you see the 11 car. Stewart's got a really good run, and it looked like he got in the back of the 11 car, Kyle.
Yeah,
that wasn't an arrow loose. That was a touch.
As a car owner, that is a nightmare come to life.
Nightmare, exactly. And see these guys back here, like I was talking about, everybody's checking up and they got no place to go.
On board with Tony Stewart.
There's definitely contact there. They just, you know, he had a good run. You know, that's when you're making time up on a guy like that. You know, sometimes when you're coming up on him, especially in the corner, you'll get that guy loose. And Hamlin may have had to lift just a little bit because Tony Stewart got him loose to begin with. But still, in the end result, he hit him.
And you don't expect somebody to lift that late up off a corner either. Now, I'm going to give Tony the benefit of the doubt on that one. Once you get out that far, you figure you got 15, 20 feet to catch it if it jumps out from under you. It's not going to go all the way to the top of the racetrack. Look how many cars are on pit road over here to the right. Look how many cars just came down pit road, locked it down, and came down pit road.
You can come down pit road. You must make an attempt to reduce your speed. You can also go below that yellow line, which is out of bounds normally, but you can go below it. to avoid the wreck. Matt Kenseth through the grass, Greg Biffle through the grass. Larry?
Guys, let's go back to the Daytona 500 in February. Obviously much later in the race than this, but it was almost reversed. Tony Stewart was leading late in the race, right there in turn 3 and 4, got a little loose. Kurt Busch gets into him. Both of those guys get taken out, and they had the 2 best cars in the Daytona 500. Ralph Shaheen.
Well, Larry, the 20 is into the pit road here, and they're thinking now they're going to probably have to go to the garage. They've got heavy damage to the left front of this car. They've got the right side of the car jacked up. There's heavy damage over there as well. This car is going to have a lot of work done to it, Marty.
And further up pit road, Ralph Dale Earnhardt Jr. sits here trying to get his race cars fixed as well. Jr. actually said, let's take our car to the garage and maybe fix it there. Tony Uri Jr. overruled that a little bit, trying to keep him out on the racetrack as much as he could. You see them trying to bang out that damage on the right rear. There's also more significant damage on the left front of the race car, right behind that left front wheel. They're going to have to work on that as well. They're trying to get the right side fixed here first. You see them working on that damage. They'll put on right side tires, send him back out, and the next time they would like to come and work on the left side. But you can see that right rear significantly wrinkled up on the Budweiser Chevrolet. It's going to take a lot of work to get that car raceable once again.
Thanks, Marty. Stay with him down there.
This is at the back of Junior's car. You see, he
Come in front of you, go low, go low, go low.
Oh, and that's what happened. Somebody drilled the 43 car, Bobby Labonte, and ran into Junior.
And you know, on one of the replays, I thought Bobby had done a great job staying out of it, but evidently Reed Sorensen got into the back of the 43, it looked like, drove the 43 back into Junior, and then the 41 of Reed Sorensen got into Junior. But that's what we talked about earlier. There were 2 distinct crashes there, 2 totally different wrecks, but all the cars ended up in one big pile right down here in the grass.
The first one starts, and then the second one breaks out.
I need a patch made for that fender right there.
You know, and you heard him say something about Junior as they come to pit road about wanting to take it to the garage area. As a driver, you don't know how bad the damage is, but they preach to you in the driver's meeting. Minimum speed. If you can't maintain it, they're going to park you. That's your big concern.
Lindsay.
I don't have Jeff Burton is in, and he was saying before they were just a little bit tight. There you see them working on the left side of his car, changing left side tires. Matt.
Jimmy Johnson wants to try to stay ahead of the curve, making a track bar adjustment, knowing this racetrack will get tighter later on. The 29 of Harvick, no adjustments. He hit pit road in the lead.
Jamie McMurray into the grass.
Boy, a couple guys in the grass. Jeff Burton also in the grass.
We saw that earlier in the day during the Busch race, but the clarification that we got from David Hoots from NASCAR was you can't just come at somebody and pull out on them and pass them in the grass just because they're running slower than pit road speed. But if you're forced out into the grass because somebody pulling out, then it's okay to escape into the grass. And I think that's what we saw there, was people escaping into the grass.
David Hoots, the series race director. Elliott Sadler very slow off of pit road. Remember, he has no first or second gear. It's Kevin Harvick.
And that's a classic example that Kyle was talking about. All Burton was doing was avoiding a wreck right there on pit lane.
With his teammate.
Yeah.
Nextel Cup fans, the Sprint Speed Million presented by Motorola sweepstakes is coming your way on July 15th.
Coming this summer, 12 lucky fans. $1 million at stake. And the most important phone call ever.
Hey, buddy, it's Denny. Hello? Hello?
The Sprint Speed Million, presented by Motorola Sweepstakes. The sweepstakes starts July 15th.
So cleanup continues here at Daytona after a multi-car crash that has included Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart, Denny Hamlin, Reed Sorensen, Bobby Labonte. Required to take 3 local cable breaks an hour for your local cable operator. That's the only time we'll break away from the action. Wide open coverage on TNT continues in 90 seconds. July 7th. Saturday night at the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. Kenny Wallace is scored as the race leader, did not come down pit road with the rest of the pack. This portion of NASCAR on TNT's wide open coverage is brought to you by NASCAR Hot Pass, only on DirecTV. 18 laps complete, still under caution. The sport of NASCAR grants fans close access with its stars, but NASCAR Hot Pass, only on DirecTV, lets you ride shotgun with top NASCAR drivers.
Rise and shine, race fans. It's the day we've all been waiting for.
Hey-o!
Race day.
Race day. That's right, Pete. It may only be 7 in the morning, but it's never too early to start talking racing. I mean, NASCAR, Daytona, this is what it's all about.
This is what it's all about. You know who I've got my eye on? That number 29 car of Kevin Harvick.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's definitely the one to watch today.
I cannot disagree with you there, but the field is going to be tough. I know I just can't wait for the green flag to drop at Daytona.
For NASCAR fans, there's no day like race day. And for the true fan, there is only one way to watch. NASCAR Hot Pass, only on DirecTV. NASCAR Hot Pass on DirecTV gets you closer to the action than ever before. It's like riding shotgun with your favorite driver. See the race from 3 different screens to help you follow all the action on the track. Go behind the scenes and hear every move your driver will make by listening to live in-car team audio.
All right, boys, get it ready. Bring him in next time around. We're just a little loose. Might need a left front adjustment.
Chart speeds, RPMs, and other crucial race data with real-time car telemetry. DirecTV brings you closer to all the heart-pounding racing action, from the green flag to the checkers.
Do what you gotta do, baby. Come on. Come on.
He did it. Kevin Harvick wins the Daytona 500.
NASCAR Hot Pass, only on DirecTV. The only way to ride shotgun with top NASCAR drivers.
You saw the green flag come back out. Kenny Wallace jumped on the pit road with the 1 to go. Clint Boyer in that 07 car with a 2-tire stop as the race leader. That's Martin Truex Jr. right behind him.
And this is the perfect time to try 2 tires, if you're going to try 2 tires. And I think we'll see some in certain situations as the night goes on, and this was the perfect time to see what 2 does versus 4.
You watched the action on the track. Let's check down in the garage.
Well, we're with Tony Stewart. Tony just crawled out of the car. What happened out there?
The 11 car decided to stop for some reason right in the middle of turn 4, so I'm sure he was getting tight because for 3 laps in a row we were catching him through the center and the exit of the corner, and all of a sudden he just stops on the exit of 4 in front of 42 cars and I guess expects all of us to drive around him. So I don't know. He's tore up 2 really good race cars. He tried to crash us on Friday in practice and didn't get it done, so at least he finished it off today.
Has there been some difficulty between the 2 of you?
No, he's a young guy and he wants to be successful, but I don't know if he knows what the definition of team is right now.
Lindsay?
Well, Ralph, I'm standing beside Denny Hamlin. Tony was just voicing his frustration, saying that you slowed down there basically for no reason. What was your perspective of the incident?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen the replay, but I know, I'm looking out the front windshield, and it's just the car was starting to lose its handle there, as was a lot of cars. But myself, I really didn't slow up, any more than I had, lap before. But I think he was just a little bit closer than what he had been in the previous laps, and got into us. It's not too big of a deal, I don't reckon.
Bill?
Thanks, Lindsay. Caution on the track. Tony Raines. That was.
Come on, let's go to the garage here.
But that's just unusual. I mean, really, this is unusual. We don't normally see this.
No, and this racetrack must just be incredibly slick, and these cars are either pushing real bad, and I think Denny said something really...
I don't know who it was, got into the back of you off the 4.
I think Denny said something really that's telltale sign of where the night's going. We'd only run 10 or 15 laps, and he said the car was already losing its handle. 10 or 15 laps into a race, when the car goes away, you're in trouble.
Larry?
Guys, we talked about this during the entire pre-race, and Kyle, you ran the Daytona 500, and even though we know the track has a lot less grip in July, this track did not have a lot of grip, and there were a lot of ill-handling cars in February, and I think you throw the impound race in on top of these guys with only 2 practices on Thursday, I think we're going to have a lot of ill-handling cars throughout this entire 400-mile race.
I got to agree with that, and then throw the heat and the humidity on top of all that. I'm going to tell you, man, we got a lot going on out here right now.
Okay. Keep coming. No, got to spin. He's up high here. Okay. All right, 44's with you. Slow down here. There you go.
Brian
Nice
Vickers
job.
on board.
But that really didn't have anything to do with handling.
No, that had something to do with somebody running into
Right.
each other in a straight line.
Right.
I'm going to tell you that. That's exactly right. Somebody punted the 96 car, and we don't have a good shot of it yet, and hopefully we will. But somebody absolutely punted the 96 car in the short chute, in a straightaway, where you've already made it past the point where Denny and Tony seem to have their problems.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car will be the lucky dog. He was involved in an earlier caution here in the Pepsi 400. 22 laps are complete, or excuse me, 22 laps are complete. Take a local break, and our TNT wide open coverage will continue in 90 seconds.
How is a navel piercing any different than an ear piercing?
Because when you wear earrings, boys look up here.
The all-new TBS comedy series, The Billingball Show, premieres Tuesday, July 17th at 9, only on TBS.
Are all gasolines the same? At Shell, we're constantly testing to prove there is a difference. From in the lab to driving 5,000 miles on the open road. And while some interesting things happened during the testing, the results proved even more interesting. Low-quality discount gasolines can allow performance-robbing gunk to build up in your engine. Shell gasolines stop gunky buildup, helping your car perform at its best. Now that's a difference.
TNT Sports at the Daytona International Speedway, Daytona Beach, Florida, the Pepsi 400. The NASCAR Nextel Cup season hits the halfway mark when the checkered flag falls tonight. All right, now we were looking to find out who might have run into Tony Raines. RaceView can help us out with this. You can find this at NASCAR.com. There's Stremme in the 40.
And from the race view, obviously we're not looking at real cars here. We're just going off the GPS and how race view works. It almost appears as the 96 came up and the 40 was there, just like we saw with the 9 and the 66 earlier. Until we saw, if we don't have real footage of it, that's as good as we're going to get. But that is great coverage right there to at least let you know where it happened in the middle of the straightaway, like we said, running in a straight line.
That cartoon is just going to rat you out, isn't it? If we don't get it.
It's going to rat you out.
It just ratted out the 40 car big time on that deal.
And there's one other guy that knows what happened.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll talk to him.
He'd be driving the 96 car, and he's probably not very happy right now. How about it, Ralph?
Well, we're going to walk over here to Tony Raines, who's sitting frustrated inside his car. Tony, what happened?
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen a replay, but they're just telling me on the radio the 40 car hit us. And I don't know if, I don't know how he hit us. You know, if he hit us in the right rear or just trying to help us off the turn. But, you know, it's just a tough break for DLB Chevrolet. We had a decent car handling-wise, but this isn't the type of night we're looking for. And, you know, David and I come from the same area, but, you know, I'm sure he didn't do it on purpose, but I don't know what happened. Until I see a replay, I guess I'll just reserve judgment.
Tony, there's a lot of torn-up race cars early in this race tonight. How come? What's crazy out there?
Well, it's just slick. You know, it's typical July race. You can't get your car to handle real well, and you're running inches from each other, and one little slip, you know, you let off, and somebody can't get woed up, and they bump and bang, and I don't know. Everybody's just trying to get to the front, and there's only one spot to run in the front, and there's 43 of us.
Yeah, that, you know, and that was a good point. That's what I was just going to bring up. You see these guys bump draft, you're not going to get away with it tonight. As bad as these cars are handling, and as slick as it is, you're not going to be able to bump draft the guy, and it's going to be a lot tougher for him to recover.
The difference in bump draft in the night goes back to the handling. The differential in speed from what your car may be running and the other car, they're just knocking each other out of the way. They're not able to ease up on each other and bump them forward and do it that way. And I don't know if that's what we're seeing early in the race or if we're just seeing incidents where guys don't know other guys are there.
Field has gotten the one to go. This portion of NASCAR on TNT's Wide Open coverage is brought to you by the all-new full-size Toyota Tundra. Go green when we get back to the line. Let's check with Larry.
Guys, I've been watching the 8 team, Tony Eury Jr. and that group. Of course, the biggest thing, they're trying to get all the cosmetic damage fixed. But the other thing they've been doing, I've got my crew member, Mark Fine, there on the left rear, is they're trying to check the toe out. And what they did, they went to the right side with a string or a bar, and then they came to the left side. And what they're trying to make sure is that the toe out, that the front wheels, that the front part of it's out just a little bit more than the rear. That makes the car good and stable. So what they actually had to do is go to the tie rod, loosen it, and adjust it until they got the right toe out there, where at least that car will drive good, and then they'll continue to work on the body damage as they get more pit stops. Marty.
Well, Larry Mack, that toe was knocked out about 1/8 of an inch. They've been coaching Junior, trying to cheer him on to keep him out on the racetrack. They tried to keep him on the lead lap, Larry Mack, but they were not able to do it. So as a crew chief, what's your job now, trying to coach your driver for the rest of this race?
Marty, the good thing is we have the free pass. We have the lucky dog. So what they need to do is just coach him to just hang in there. We have plenty of racing left, and we will get a caution, and we'll get that lap back. Then we're going to make that race car where we can go back up there and race. Go back a few years ago at Talladega, that car was almost destroyed, and they fixed it, kept working on it. Guess what? He went on to win the race.
Pace car to pit road. You might have seen Earnhardt shoot by there, trying to make up his lap as the lucky dog. Green flag in the air. Clint Boyer is the race leader.
The one thing the lucky dog rule has allowed to happen is a car like Earnhardt Jr.'s, who needs extensive work. If he continues to catch early cautions, he can get this thing fixed and get back in the race. He's not out of the race by any stretch of the imagination at this point in time. Now, if this was a little bit later in the race, yeah, color him gone. He's out of here. But right now, he can continue to come down pit road and adjust on this thing until they start lapping other cars.
But he doesn't have any friends right now, does he?
No, he doesn't have any friends, and they're gonna. And if this thing goes green for any amount of time, they will. This pack will catch him and put him a lap down.
But once again, he's the lucky dog candidate again. You know,
well,
at that point in time.
Yeah.
Right now, Riggs is ahead of him. We'll see how the scoring trips when they go by this time.
I'm going to be honest and tell you, I never even saw Riggs get a lap down, unless he was in one of these last incidents or ran over something.
Marty?
Bill Clint Boyer up front with the lead on 2 tires. His teammate Kevin Harvick in third with 4 tires. Harvick wondered, hey, teammate, how are those 2 tires working out for you?
How'd your car feel there on 2 tires? Harvick was wanting to know. Come on, we'll talk after the race. We'll email and talk to him. It's fine.
They said they would email during the race, and then he would talk to them after the race. No secrets, or actually there are secrets, even between teammates, right, guys?
Yeah, I got to give him that. That basically what he was saying when he said we'll talk after the races. They're doing pretty good at this point in time, and I don't want him to try them and get up in front of me at some point in time, which was good. You know, like I said before, when we came back from break a minute ago, now's the time to experiment and try stuff. When you can get away from it and at least run in a pack, or get away with it and at least run in a pack and be swept along with them, you don't have to fight the car.
Well, you see Nemechek right there in the middle in the 13 car. Boy, that car does not look stable in between those cars.
And Wally, you know what that does is when you're in the 1 car or the 42 or the 6 and you're watching that 13 pinball back and forth, you're thinking, oh my God, gas brake, left, right. I don't know which way to go. So it really backs up the rest of the field.
But your eyes are wide open.
Wide open, man.
Down the backstretch, headed into turn 3. Harvick out of line. An update on his teammate from Lindsay.
Jeff Burton came on the radio and said that he was feeling a little bit tight, but the track is much, much quicker than he expected it to be early on. So I know a lot of the drivers down here are saying that. And guys, something else that these teammates are looking to communicate about is just how those new engines are doing, the RCR DEI combination. I talked to Richard Childress earlier, and he said that's a big test, and they want to gain all the info they can from this race.
And a number of cars running that power plant here this weekend.
Well, you saw Harvick just go straight to the back there when he got out of line. Right now, it looks like these guys that are running the bottom right now are able to keep that gas pedal down. They're handling good, and that's why they're being able to stay on the bottom. I think the guys that are handling not as good are up on top because they're having to crack that throttle, get the car to turn, then get back in the gas.
And you know, the funny thing that you hear, if you listen to what everybody down pit road has said, what Lindsey said and what Matt said and Marty and Ralph, what everybody have said, they're talking tight. Nobody's saying my car's loose.
Exactly.
Nobody's saying I'm loose, I'm free. We heard Tony say, well, maybe Denny got a little tight coming up out of the corner. So the racetrack must have a tendency tonight to be a lot tighter than what it has been in the past, because these guys are running, oh my God. That took my breath. These guys are running all over the racetrack looking for new asphalt to get some grip.
Boy, and all over the racetrack, it's the right turn.
That was a right-hand turn in the middle of the corner.
This portion of NASCAR on TNT's Wide Open Coverage brought to you by Miller Lite. Jamie McMurray in that 26 car hunting the lead. And oh, look at Burton up the track.
Well, the 12 of Newman got right. Oh, I'm telling you what. These guys are flirting with disaster right there.
And what you know, Burton's trying to say, is that hole still there? Is that still down there? And Newman's like, no, it's not here anymore, man. I closed that door. But Newman did the right thing. He eased up a little bit and let Jeff back. But then you see the outside lane, how they freight train just from those guys checking up just a little bit.
This is a give and take race. The first 120 laps is all give. The last 40 laps, all take.
And the 26, McMurray takes the lead.
I'm going to tell you, this 26 car has been impressive from the time we saw him go 3 wide early on. And we've not seen the Fords be that strong at a place like this, at the restrictor plates in some of these places. It's been Chevy, Chevy, Chevy all year long, but this Ford has come up through there.
166 races since Jamie McMurray went to victory lane, Ralph.
Well, the key to that move, too, Bill, is the fact that he got some help getting out front. Now he's got everybody tucked up behind him, and he's going to try to stay there for a while. He says the car's a little bit tight. On the last pit stop, they took a half round out of the track bar, put 4 tires of fuel on it. He just said, just a moment to go, even with those changes, Scar is still a little too tight. Boy, is it fast.
Key word tonight would be
tight.
McMurray up front. You watch the action for your next tailgate party, summer cookout, or night out with friends. Miller Lite is always a good call. Miller Lite is the original light beer.
Can you believe all these caution flags this week? Man, they practically ruined a good race.
Yeah, it seemed like they're gonna race all day under yellow.
So there's debris on the track.
Debris? I didn't see any debris.
Yeah, me neither. What's the definition of debris?
Apparently stuff you can't see on the track. I mean, you would think if they're gonna throw a caution, you would have to be able to see it with the naked eye.
I hear you. It's like throwing a caution flag because you got a bug on your windshield.
No doubt. Or red flag in the race because your zipper on your fire suit is broken.
Or canceling a baseball playoff game because you ran out of hot dogs.
Or canceling a championship football game because you broke a shoelace.
That's like sending the award-winning taste of your Miller Lite back because you got a torn label.
Hey, you guys know, that would never happen.
Good call. That's Kurt Busch.
Number 2?
Wow.
Hey,
in
guys,
my bar.
I wonder if he could handle my 4-cylinder.
It's like half his car.
He looks like an astronaut.
Yeah, he can hear you.
Miller Lite is brewed to have real beer taste that's not watered down. Miller Lite, the original light beer. Hey, dude, you got, like, debris on your face.
I don't see it.
Here's to the light beer that wins award after award, year after year. The original and still the greatest, Miller Lite. Good call.
You saw we remained under green here at Daytona, but we also showed you Jamie McMurray going down pit road. He was black flagged for going below the yellow line and improving his position. Watch McMurray, 3rd car in line there. That's Jeff Gordon in front of him.
He went to the right, and he had a good run on.
He's below it, man.
If you get the left sides below that yellow line.
even though Jeff gave him room, when he faked right and moved left, Jeff, you see Jeff move to the right a little bit and give him room. But he went so far left that he went over that line, maybe a foot, maybe a foot and a half, 12 to 18 inches. But it doesn't make any difference. The yellow line is the yellow line.
But he didn't think he did. Or he would have given that spot back.
He would have given that spot back because NASCAR tells you if you improve your position by going over that line, if you'll give it back as quick as you can within the next half lap to a lap, then they won't penalize you. Obviously, he did not realize he had gone that far over the yellow line.
See the 24 down on the bottom there, giving 12 or Brian Newman a bump draft.
McMurray has now scored 35th. An update on Newman from Matt.
Bill, 62 races since Ryan Newman last went to victory lane. Had a great run going here in the 500, running third when his radiator had a malfunction, costing him a good shot at the win. Right now, he's hugging the bottom, but he says, I need a little more help with grip. The air pressure adjustment helped, but right now, a lot of guys complaining about their cars tightening up a lot earlier in the run than they had expected.
Well, these cars all over the track. You saw the field blow by Dale Earnhardt Jr. There's Jr. in the 8.
Junior's got to stay ahead of Scott Riggs if he wants to be in the position to get that lucky dog. But Junior's not going to get any help from anyone, not when they're putting him a lap down.
Kyle Busch, the race leader. He won the Busch race earlier today here at Daytona. Busch race last night was rained out. They ran it this morning here at Daytona. Kyle Busch, the race winner. Now the leader here. That's the onboard with Junior, involved in an earlier wreck here tonight.
And you would think, as big as this racetrack is, that you could get out of the way, but there is no place to get out of the way. And we see Scott Riggs coming up to pass the 8 car, which would put Scott Riggs in position for the lucky dog.
I'm not sure Junior is going to be able to even hang with the draft. It'll be interesting to see if he can, but a lot of damage was on that right rear quarter panel, and you sure need that here at Daytona.
37 laps complete. This portion of NASCAR on TNT's Wide Open coverage brought to you by AutoZone. On board with Junior.
I'll tell you, another guy that's going to be worried about going a lap down is going to be Jamie McMurray.
Well, Larry, how would you like to be crew chief on car 26 right now?
Well, Larry Carter, his crew chief, has got to be quite a coach right now. We always talk about the draft at Daytona and Talladega, and we can take 10 or 15 minutes to describe it. But in simple form, on the stopwatch is what we go by right now. With him being by himself and not in a pack, he is anywhere from 3/4 of a second to a full second slower than that pack up there. The biggest thing they need, boys, a good old caution right now.
McMurray is in turn 4, and the field is just about halfway down the backstretch right now. And they are coming.
When you're coming,
maybe if we get a caution here, probably what we'll do, since we'll be the lucky dog, we'll come in and pull that soft rubber out of them.
He actually only be the lucky dog if he loses a lap. Marty?
Well, guys, pacing the field right now is Kyle Busch up front, Bill, and you mentioned he won the NASCAR Busch Series race this morning. After that race, NASCAR confiscated the front springs from the 5 Busch Series car. Now, they did not take away the win from Kyle Busch, but they are taking them to the NASCAR Research and Development Center in Concord, North Carolina. They are going to study those front springs to the 5 team on the Nextel Cup Series side with a little bit to prove tonight as well.
And Marty, they're taking them because they were very close to the tolerance.
Exactly. They were very close to the tolerance, and NASCAR just wants to look at them. Unlikely, though, that they will take away the win from earlier today.
Yeah, they were very close on their field test machine, and they want to take it to their R&D, and I mean very close. So they're just double checking it once they get them back to Charlotte.
But I'm going to tell you something. There is so much technology and springs now that these Cup guys are using. You know, used to, you'd take a spring that was 13, 14 inches tall, you'd cut it off to 8.5 inches, whatever, grade it and see what it was. And it was a progressive spring. It would start at 800, go to 1,500 or 2,000 pounds. These guys have 8.5, 8 3/4 inch spring or inch springs that are flat linear springs. They'll be 800 pounds all the way out. So it's pretty spectacular to see how the technology has changed in that area.
Clint Boyer pushed to the lead there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Carl Edwards helping out. Larry?
Yeah, I think we need to expand on this front spring situation. When you look at the Nextel Cup cars, there's really no rule on the rate of the front springs. You can do whatever you want. Now, they mandate the rate of the rear springs at 375 pounds. That keeps that rear spoiler up in the air. But the difference in the Busch Series, they mandate the rear springs, but they also mandate the rate of the front springs. The full total rate of both front springs cannot be softer than 3,000 pounds. And what I'm hearing is those rates on those front springs in Kyle Busch's Busch car, they were a little marginal.
Always good to have the crew chief on your pit box. You can see how close they're racing here at Daytona in the Pepsi 400. Fans, for your next automotive pit stop, get into AutoZone. AutoZone helps you get the job done right the first time, every time.
Here comes the number 21 AutoZone car. Boy, that car is really moving today.
All right, boys, let's get her ready. We're bringing her in. It's got to be fast.
When you're in a hurry and you've got to get in and out, you've got to have AutoZone, powered by ZNet. ZNet gives you pictures, diagrams, and instructions. It's innovative technology, helping you get what you need faster, so you can do the job right the first time, every time.
Good job, guys. Good job.
AutoZone, powered by ZNet. Don't miss out. Get to AutoZone to take the new ZNet system for a test drive. ZNet provides vehicle-specific repair information that gives you step-by-step instructions. Whether you work on vehicles every day or just getting started, ZNet provides the advice you want. ZNet, available only at AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Still under green here at Daytona. Two-time Daytona winner Dale Earnhardt Jr. to the garage. Involved in an earlier wreck. There you see him make the turn. Marty?
Well, Bill, I think when they went down the lap, what we just saw a moment ago, they finally just said, you know what, guys, let's just take it back to the garage. It was Junior's suggestion, actually. Let's go back there. Let's fix it, make it right, then get back out on the track and be competitive. You guys know, Kyle and Wally, no fun running out there when you're absolutely not competitive at all.
Well, I thought he was going to have a problem. When I saw all that damage on the right rear quarter panel, I didn't think he was going to be able to hang with the draft. And I think they've got that body so out of whack, they can't stay with the pack, so they may as well, you know, get it worked on.
And I'm going to tell you, as much aero damage as he has, and you know how it is, when a pack comes up on you and the air begins to juke your car around, it can turn it left, it can turn it right, and if the toe end's already out, so you've got a handling problem and an aero problem, man, it takes your breath when the pack passes you.
And
you just want to be safe. You just want to be safe. And I think that's what Junior's doing, is say, let's make this thing safe for everybody, not only for myself, but for everybody.
Sorry about that, Kyle. Also 12th in the championship standings. Matt?
Bill, Jimmy Johnson was complaining earlier his car was a little too tight in traffic. Moments ago, he just came on the radio and said, my car is just so good on entry to the corner that I'm losing grip in the center because of that. Right now, just riding along in 7th.
Thanks, Matt. This portion of NASCAR on TNT's Wide Open coverage is brought to you by Jeff Gordon 24 Energy, new from the makers of Pepsi. And Kyle, as you predicted, they are starting to get strung out a little bit.
They're strung out, and as you watch some of this pack run, especially Kenseth at the back of this pack, when they get to the corner, they go low, he goes high. As we look through the corner, these guys are using up the whole racetrack. Some of them are still on the bottom, but some of them are running mid-pack or middle of the racetrack, and some of them are running up the racetrack. You see the 48 right in the middle, right along in there, you see the 17 all the way, and when they come around, you see the guys behind them. They're not really racing with each other. They just run through the corner and then get back in line as they come down the straightaway.
And they're using all, they're running up the racetrack because they need it all. The cars are sliding that bad. As we ride on board with Jeff Gordon, these cars are just in a big four-wheel drift, and they're using all that racetrack.
A lot of times when you listen to a guy's radio, he'll say, man, I'm just having to pinch the car off the corner. I need the whole racetrack. And that's what Wally's saying. These guys need the whole racetrack to get their car to drive good, rotate good, and to be able to use all their engine.
It's Juan Pablo Montoya in that 42 car that jumped in front of Gordon, now slips down a little bit to the inside.
You could hear Jeff working the throttle right here. Right there, he lifted out of the gas just a little bit.
And it's funny.
and you can see he got back in it right there.
Right there. But it's like Wally says, the trick is, and really when you listen to these guys, the good guys let off getting in the corner, get their car to set, and then go back to the gas as hard as they can. You'll see these young guys, they'll drive it in the corner until it almost hits the wall in the middle of the corner, lets off, and it makes the front stretch slow and the back stretch slow. These guys make long straightaways out of the corner, and they're able to suck up on people, just like we saw Jeff Gordon pull up on the back of that car a minute ago when we were watching.
And the reason why you lift out of the gas is because the car's not turning. By you lifting out of the throttle, it gets grip back in the front of the car. Once you have that grip back in the front of the car, then you can get back on the gas.
Meanwhile, back at the front of the field, Clint Boyer with Kyle Busch right behind him. Then Ryan Newman. Jimmy Johnson is there in the 48. Kurt Busch in the 2. Fans, stay tuned for 24x24 wide open with Jeff Gordon immediately following the race on TNT. Here's a special preview courtesy of Pepsi.
Are you guys excited about this premiere?
Go Jeff!
Jeff Gordon, come on out here.
I live a pretty cool life. You know, life is good. You know, there's hard work that goes along with it, but it's a huge reward and payoff at the end of the day, and it gives me the opportunity to do some really cool things over the years. So that's why we're here tonight. You know, I hope everybody gets to see something that you just don't get to see every day.
It was awesome. It was awesome. It's crazy. That's what I've ever seen.
Jeff Gordon's typical day at the office, 4 hours and 500 miles. The rest of the week is up for grabs.
Going in.
24x24 wide open with Jeff Gordon.
He won't race for second. If you see that checkered flag, there's no greater feeling than that.
Buy the extended version on DVD to experience over 30 more minutes of feature action. Plus behind the scenes and deleted scenes in stores everywhere July 10th.
Clint Boyer continues to lead. They are racing all over the track and using all of the track.
Yeah, they're saving their life all over the track by the looks of it.
NASCAR is also keeping an eye on the bumper cover of the 43 car Bobby Labonte.
And we saw Bobby get in the accident with those guys earlier, with Junior and a couple of those guys. Was turned into the outside wall, and we never really followed up on it, but obviously he's got some damage that they didn't get fixed, and now they're NASCAR's taking a good look at it.
So you see our race summary. 7 different leaders. 12 caution laps. There's Tony Stewart.
34 laps down.
But at the same time, and you say, why does somebody go back out when they're 34 laps down?
Right.
It's a 160-lap race. You know, if something happens here and takes out a bunch of cars, he moves up in position. And even though it's 3-point increments, when you're trying to stay in that top 12, and you know, we saw a good example of it earlier. The 78 cars stayed out and led a lap. And you say, well, what difference does it make if Kenny Wallace leads a lap? Let me tell you, he got in this race after the rain because of the points, and those 5 points were important. So every point in this chase is always important.
Carl Edwards working hard.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great shot.
Cautious with that dude, Carl. He almost crashed 5 times in the Busch race.
This is going to show you, you know, I mean, it looks fairly easy when you're sitting in the grandstands or at home watching these cars go around. They look like they're driving smooth, but they're not. You're wrestling these cars, especially on a night like tonight when the racetrack is hot and slick. You turn down in the corner, and you're sawing on that wheel.
Look at his eyes.
Oh, I'll tell you what, that 42 car looks like he's got his hands full right there, and that's exactly what the crew chief was talking about, was watch out for that 42 car, because he actually looks like he's loose.
It's Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42.
That was Carl's spotter, and Carl just went ahead and let Jeff Burton jump up in there to take the blow if there's going to be a blow delivered here.
But you hear the 99 just lifted out of the gas, so 99's got a little bit of handling issues right now.
This portion of NASCAR on TNT's wide open coverage brought to you by Subway Restaurants.
You see him looking up in the mirror. 18 cars getting a good run, so he's watching in his mirror to see, okay, where's he going to go? He's going to pass me low or high? Is he going to hit me in the bumper? And he figures he needs to run the high groove. the 99 needs the top of the racetrack, so he's going to say, hey, if you're going to pass me, you better take me down the bottom or I'll wreck you.
And you could see Carl. Carl went in under that white line.
But the very top takes off, slide the nose big.
Under that white line.
We're going to do a round of bite out. Half pound out of left side tires. Left side.
Talking about the changes they're going to make.
Yeah, they're talking about the changes they're going to make, but you saw him go below the white line and slide all the way up next to the wall. Just like they said, they're going to take a round out and let some air out of the left side tires. Taking a round out will free the car up chassis-wise. The left side tires will also free the car up, but at the same time, a lot of times dropping some air out of the left side tires will give the left sides a little bit more grip to help the car rotate.
And what I meant by, you know, you better take me on the low, I'm going to wreck you, is just what he said. If you get up on the high side of me, my car's going to push up the racetrack, and I may run into you. It may not be on purpose, but that's where my car's sliding to.
Boyer continues to lead. Let's go back and take a look a moment ago at the 5 car of Kyle Busch. Similar to what you guys were talking about.
Oh, man, he's loose way in that corner. And I'll tell you what, that's a great, it doesn't look like much, but I'll tell you what, when you're, and he did it twice and saved it. Which he does that a lot. He saves the race car being loose a lot, Marty.
How would you race car drivers describe that one to your race team?
I wouldn't be able to talk for about 4 laps. I'm just going to be honest with you on that one.
He said that was stupid sideways, as he called it. And then he came back on the radio and said, oh, yeah, and it was twice, too. He said he's loose on the bottom, but he's too tight up top. So you got to decide which line you want to run. If you want to be fast, you want to be on the bottom, he's got to deal with that loose condition.
Now, the problem is, too, when you're that loose and you've got somebody like Newman on your rear bumper, that's even going to make it twice as bad. So he's going to have to be real careful. If that 12 car gets really, really close to him, don't be surprised if he pulls over and lets him go, because you can't have somebody on your rear bumper if you're that loose. It just makes it 10 times worse.
Getting close to pit stops, 35 cars on the lead lap. Among the cars not close to the lead lap, Elliott Sadler, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart, and Denny Hamlin. Pit road report from Matt Yoakum.
Bills are closing in on the next round of pit stops. Now the spotters, especially in the 48 pit of Johnson and the 01 of Mark Martin, they will remind their drivers about their pit board signs. Now Mark Martin said in the pace laps, the signs all look illuminated except for the 01, the 45, and the 48 due to the shadows. Johnson, he had to slow down.
And that was, see that coming. As loose as Montoya was, and the 29 was right up next to him, and I think Montoya got loose and got right up into Kevin Harvick, and Harvick slams the wall hard.
Harvick won the Daytona 500 here in February. Clearly slowing on the track. Another look.
Hit the wall a ton.
Yeah, watch the 42 car comes up, and he just slides into Harvick and puts Harvick in the wall.
And you heard Kevin right there before we went to replay. I hit the wall a ton, and I'm going to tell you, that is a ton. You don't realize how hard you hit the wall. You see it correct, and bang, right there. It moves the rear end to the left. It moves, it takes all the camber out of the right front, just stands the right front tire up. There's a lot of damage to that car. He's going to have to come in, or this thing's going to, you've got massive tire rub here besides his other problems.
This is on board with Carl Edwards. See Harvick's car in front of him. He did a nice job hanging on to that, but you can see the subsequent damage. Harvick trying to slow, get below the rest of the traffic and get back to pit road.
I was just going to say, that tire's coming apart right now, and that's not going to be good for anybody.
But the caution comes out.
Caution's out, caution's out.
Caution's out. Now, if he can get in and get this thing changed and get back out, then it's good for Kevin Harvick, but it's not good for long term. It's not, because it's going to tear this thing all to pieces.
Yeah,
you see the tire
if you can
coming
do
apart
it
right there.
before it takes the right front fender off.
That's a lot of damage. A lot of damage.
So the caution is out.
Right side tires, guys. Just put right side tires on it for now.
And this is Harvick after he's hit the wall once.
Yeah, it just won't turn.
And another look in real time. You see him scrape the wall. Caution out. Scott Riggs will be the lucky dog. He will come around and be on the lead lap now.
And You know, we talk about look at that thing blow out right when he jumps on the gas or on the brakes right there. But you talk about drivers and giving them pep talks. How optimistic is Kevin Harvick? Just give me right side tires, guys. Just give me right side tires. Because that's what you want to believe. You want to believe all I need to do is put these tires on. He'll have to obviously come back in and they'll work on this thing a little bit. But he's got to have some suspension damage in there somewhere along with the body damage that this thing has.
Matt.
Bill right now just trying to compartmentalize the anger over the incident on the racetrack. 2 tires this time. You can see they're looking over the right side. The game plan is just to put right side tires on now, go out, come back in. You can see that right front still smoking. Try to work on the fender rubs.
Yeah, I think they wanted to make sure, too, by just putting 2 tires on, they didn't want to go a lap down because the field was almost 3/4 of a lap behind them.
Tony Raines has come back out. He's 36 laps down. The field coming down pit road. Ralph Shaheen.
Well, we're going to watch as our triple split comes up on the screen. We're going to take a look at the number 2 of Kurt Busch. He comes in. The car's been a little bit tight on the bottom. The gearing isn't right. They're going to go a half round up on the track bar and take a half pound out of each rear, Matt.
Jimmy Johnson tight in the center of the corner off. They're going to make a track bar adjustment. Ron Mallett, the interim crew chief, making the adjustment. Small air pressure change as well. Marty?
Clint Boyer, your leader, comes to pit road. They pull off the left side tires for the first time today. No changes on the chassis. He was a little bit concerned about his passenger side tear-offs. They were bunched up a little bit. That's hurting his vision, Lindsay.
And Marty, Matt Kenseth's a little bit slow getting off pit road. He said, I'm very loose, do whatever you can. They gave him a track bar adjustment, 4 tires, and fuel. Bill?
Thanks, Lindsay. This portion of NASCAR on TNT's Wide Open coverage is brought to you by Ford. Matt Kenseth in the 17 off of pit road. 58 laps are complete here in the Pepsi 400. Take a local cable operator break, then we'll come back. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Back to Daytona in 90 seconds. TNT Sports at the Daytona International Speedway for the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. Under caution, 59 laps are complete. Ford and NASCAR have a long, rich history. At Ford, there is a little bit of racing in everything they do.
At Ford, racing has been embedded in our DNA. That heritage extends to Henry Ford himself and a race in 1901 that many call the race that changed the world.
My great-grandfather, Henry Ford, won his first and only race in sweepstakes. I believe that the DNA of racing started in October of 1901, and it continues to modern day. Sweepstakes was the vehicle that really catapulted Ford and Henry Ford into the Ford Motor Company.
That spirit of racing is still here today, as some of the best drivers in the world of racing are invited to Ford World Headquarters to celebrate.
Ford Motor Company, good to be here.
The day begins with a special visit from the namesake of Ford and continues with a meet and greet with the true heart and soul of the Ford family, its employees. From there, it's on to the proving grounds, the Dearborn Development Center, where racing's finest are truly put to the test.
Y'all tell my mom I love her.
Here, the precision and performance of Ford's newest creations will be judged by some of the toughest critics.
The foundation of Ford is based on performance of its cars on the road and of its cars on racetracks.
What I like about Ford racing is their roots. It's about motorsports, and that's what it's all about.
We all love to drive cars, you know, and they have all these new products, and we're driving them all around, and they're asking us for our input.
You know, this is just fun to come out here and drive these cool cars.
It's a bad hot rod. Have to give old Shelby a big old kiss.
Think you're at Darlington, you're up by the wall, you know. That edge, you can put it over the edge. That's the most fun I had out here today. Man, the Fusion's unbelievable. The all-wheel drive, it just handles so good. God, it's fun to drive.
It's just neat to come and mingle and drive all the new products that are out there.
I can't wait to get back and go out there. I'll see you guys later.
When you get a pro driver driving a car that's made for everybody, excited, we've done our job. And we're going to continue doing our job.
At Ford, there is a little bit of racing in everything we do. That is how it started, how it is now, and how it will be.
Carl Edwards, the highest running Ford at this point. He's in the 6th position behind Clint Boyer, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Ryan Newman, Casey Mears, the top 5. An update on Kevin Harvick's issues from Mr. Yoakum.
Bill, the day has taken another turn for the worse for Kevin Harvick. His spotter, Billy O'Day, said they still had a tire rub. They brought him back down pit road. They were working on it. Todd Barrier said, look, let's fix it and fix it right. If we go down a lap, which they have, we will. Right now, they're still trying to work on the cosmetic damage to that right front corner of the guy who won the Daytona 500 back in February.
That's right. Matt was going for the Daytona sweep here in 2007. Will not happen this year. Field less than half a lap from going back to green. There are 36 cars scored on the lead lap, but Harvick is about to get bumped off of the lead lap. Bobby Labonte scored in the 35th position. Again, among the cars, several laps down. Elliott Sadler, 8 laps down. Dale Earnhardt Jr. off the track, 23 laps down. Tony Stewart is 34 laps down. Denny Hamlin, 47 laps down. Same for Reed Sorensen, all involved in contact earlier in the race. Coming around to complete lap 61. You see the restart line. The green flag will go in the air in the vicinity of that line on the track.
The brothers Busch go with each other, Kyle?
You know, I don't know after the Charlotte incident either. But, you know, earlier in the race, just watching some of the stuff we watched, the 2 pulled over and let the 5 go, and then the 5 run up there a little bit, and he pulled over and let the 2 go. So obviously they're conscious of each other and how each other's cars are handling. And I'm going to tell you something. My hat's off to the Penske Dodge teams. Those guys have been the flagship of Dodge on these Speedway races. They run really good down here during the 500. They run really good at Talladega. And I'm going to tell you, that says a lot for these guys. They're in the top 4 right here.
Well, I think that almost answered my question because I think Kyle was going to go with Kurt Busch, but
it's Kurt Busch in the 2, Kyle in the 5 behind Clint Boyer. This is for the lead, working lap 62. While they get up to full speed here, just want to update that Scott Riggs was one of the cars that started the race on a qualifying setup. Could not hang with the lead pack. That's how he lost his lap, but he just got back on the lead lap as the lucky dog. Riggs drives the 10 car for Ray Abraham. See the sparks. Larry, what are you up to?
Well, I'm always up to something, Bill. I know Scott Riggs was the lucky dog, but trust me, guys, the real lucky dog, Jamie McMurray, that 26 car, those guys hung on the lead lap after having to come to pit road for a drive-through penalty, going out of bounds. Now he's already back up there in the lead pack in the 29th position. That's the real lucky dog situation.
And what kind of adrenaline is pumping through you now after you got back on the lead lap when you really weren't very lucky?
A lot, because you've got a good race car. And it was early enough in the race where they know they had plenty of time to get this done, get their lap back, and be patient and get back to the front. And you'll see him there before this race is over.
Yeah, I think you will. We saw him drive up in the first part of the race, take the lead. Yeah, he went below the line. He got penalized. He goes to the back, but he's got plenty of time to come back to the front.
You make it sound like it's such a simple thing.
When you have a good race car, it is.
When you have a car like his car was driving the first part of this race, if it stays that way, it will be incredibly simple because we've seen these cars separate after 20, 25 laps.
This portion of NASCAR on TNT's Wide Open coverage brought to you by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Report that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is getting ready to come back on the track and that Denny Hamlin will also be coming back out.
And remember, when these guys come back out.
Good right now. Radar looks good right now.
These guys are still asking about weather. Somebody is. When they say radar looks good, yeah, somebody's asking about weather to see if any rain's coming. How hard do I need to go?
That was McMurray's team.
So, I mean, you see these cars are going in and coming back out. There's a minimum speed. That's why they have to go to the garage area. Used to, you know, and Wally, you know it. If you go back 10, 12 years ago, man, we were out here dodging people. Yeah. And they were running 170 when you were running 200 miles an hour. Now they want to keep everybody running in the same group or at least running in the same speed. And it makes a lot safer and a lot easier for the drivers that are running fast and a lot easier for the guys that are getting lapped.
Wow. Casey Mears right in front of Stremme. Here comes Montoya. This is behind a pack of cars trying to break away in single file fashion.
Keep on digging right there. You've got the momentum still.
Lindsay, you watching all this?
I am watching. You guys are talking about the 17th. Down here, I'm in the 17 pit right now, and they've had a concern all night because their pit is right next to Sterling Marlin's. The colors that these guys are wearing are identical. Well, that's why Matt Kenseth, when he pulled into his pit stop, came a little bit close to the wall. I'm not speculating, but I'm just saying it could be possible that he did pull in too early because he thought that the pit was his before, but he actually got on the radio and apologized to his crew.
Tell you,
usually I say, okay, dive it in here, and I was 4 stalls away, and I thought I was aimed at the right green uniforms, and then he said keep coming. I don't know. I already had the brakes locked up. I guess it didn't really matter, but you just got to come in so slow with these cement pit boxes.
You turned off faster than you're normally doing. I thought you were turning in the wrong stall. Sorry about that.
Good news for Matt Kenseth, though. They were able to put those 4 tires on like they wanted. But that is a concern these guys have had all night long, guys.
Thanks, Lindsay. That was Robbie Reiser, his crew chief, the other voice you heard on there. And that is one of the best driver-crew chief marriages in NASCAR Nextel Cup racing.
You know, how many times have we heard conversations between Robbie Reiser and Matt Kenseth, and it sounds like they're sitting at their kitchen table talking. They never raise their voice with each other. I don't think I've ever heard them raise their voice with each other.
And they were bitter rivals growing up as drivers. And I can tell you, when I was on pit road, I'd have Matt stall, and he and Robbie would be talking about, you know, what's he doing in our stall? Get him out of our stall. Matt just sees everything. They have a lot of fun. Larry.
Hey, guys, we talked at the top of the show and in the pre-race about those 7 cars that had to qualify on time, even though qualifying was scratched. And one of them I've been watching, and he was awfully quick in practice on Thursday, Dave Blaney in that 22 car. I think those guys had those 3 pit stops, Tommy Baldwin in that group, to work on that race car. He has raced his way up into the top 15, so don't count this cat out. No pun intended. As far as being a contender tonight.
Hey, no doubt about it. Blaney finished, what, 2nd or 3rd in the Busch race this morning, drove that Toyota up to the front, and he's done the same thing with this cat Toyota. He started at the back, and he's one of the few cars that were in qualifying trim that came in and made some adjustments and has continued to make some progress.
Blaney 3rd in the Busch race here earlier today. Snyder?
They finished 2nd and 3rd in the 2 Busch Series races here at Daytona this year, guys. And Kyle, you know the work that goes into changing over from a qualifying setup to a race setup. They actually changed on the first stop today the right front spring on this race car. They've also changed spring rubbers. They've done about everything you can to that 22 car. Good call by Larry Mack. They're running well now.
Larry Mack's all over that crew chief stuff, isn't he?
Hey, when they start changing springs and shocks like that, Larry's right there in the middle of it, man.
He's down there trying to help. He's the 8th man over the wall.
Hey, guys, let's talk about another car. Actually, that was bumped out of the show of the 39 cars.
I knew you were going to get to this.
Right behind them, Ryan Vickers in that 83 car. The tale of 2 tapes, qualified good last week at Loudon, kicked out in post-qualifying inspection, and this has been the nature of this team all year long. When they get in the race, they race great. It's just getting in there that's been the challenge for this group.
And Vickers is a good plate racer.
Well, he won at Talladega in the fall, so yeah, he knows what's happening.
There's Brian in the 83. On board his car, J.J. Yaley in the 18.
Actually, Pickett's car looks like it's actually working pretty good. It just can't go anywhere. A lot of these guys are stacked up in front of him, but he's made up a couple spots here in the last lap.
It's Casey Mears in the 25. Up front, Boyer continues to lead. It's Ryan Newman in the 4th spot. Matt, you watching that?
Bill sure am, and he's tucked right on the bottom, hanging right there behind the 5. Now Newman, the highest Dodge driver in the championship standings in 13th. Their turnaround began in May with the pit crew competition. 2 second-place finishes in June and trying to score Roger Penske's first restrictor plate victory in 120 attempts with 6 different drivers.
And that's a great point, Matt, and that's what you were talking about. The Penske cars do run well in these things, but they never win.
They've just not been able to close. The 2 and the 12 this year have just not been able to close in a lot of races. But I'm going to tell you something. All of a sudden, just like we just said, in May, they stepped up their program tremendously. And I know Ryan, you know, nobody wants to, when Ryan Newman starts winning poles, you can bet the Penske organization is back in where it needs to be. And I think they've started doing that lately.
This portion of NASCAR on TNT's Wide Open coverage brought to you by the Principal Financial Group. That's a
it looks like,
sponsor. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. It just looks like right now these guys are running single file because they're just using so much racetrack. They don't even want to run side by side at this point.
No, I was going to comment a minute ago. It's almost like nobody wants to be close to anybody right now. Even when they get to the corner, they give each other plenty of room getting in the corner. Now, they run up on each other down the straightaway, but when they're in the corners, they're giving each other a lot of room to escape. If something happens, they want to give you room to go high or low.
I'm not so sure if Biffle was subscribing to that theory. Drivers and race teams are always looking for an edge on the track. The Principal Financial Group can help give you an edge.
Mark Martin has been one of my heroes since I was a kid. I grew up watching him race. So to get the opportunity to race with him and learn from him, well, it's an honor.
Well, I can tell you, it hadn't always been easy. Everyone needs help getting ahead. I've been racing for 25 years, and I wouldn't have been able to accomplish any of my goals without my team of experts. You just can't go it alone. In racing, you're only as good as a team that supports you. It all comes down to performance and the skilled professionals behind you. To finish first on the track, it takes a collected effort of dedicated people who have the desire to win. Every success I've ever had is a shared success.
So really, winning is all about performance and expertise.
Exactly. That's why I have the Principal on my car. Hey, I might be a champion on the track, but the Principal Financial Group can help you be a champion off the track. With the Principal, you'll have a team of dedicated professionals to give you an edge. So whether you're investing yourself or designing benefit packages for your business, they can help make things a whole lot easier. For more than 125 years, they've been helping people get where they're going, financially, personally, or otherwise. Not only is the Principal the nation's 401k leader, they also offer a wide range of financial solutions, from retirement and investments to insurance and banking. After all, why walk when they're right here, ready to give you a lift?
So it sounds like you can retire with confidence.
Hold your horses there, rookie. I'm not ready to retire yet.
Sometimes just getting to retirement seems impossible. That's where we come in. As the nation's 401k leader, the Principal offers many simple ways to plan for retirement, making it easier for you to get where you're going. The Principal Financial Group will give you an edge.
Still under green here at Daytona. Clint Boyer, the race leader. 74 laps are complete. On board with Mark Martin in that Principal Financial ride.
Martin sits in 23rd spot, comes up on Ruderman in the 00, gives him a little bit of shot in the bumper.
Mark with the heartbreaking second place finish in the Daytona 500, and that's one guy you better know where he's at with 10 to go.
Yeah, I think Mark has, I think he forgot about Daytona until he saw so many highlights of it this week, sitting around watching what happened in February, and obviously that's playing on his mind a little bit. But I'm going to tell you what, Mark Martin never has to win another race in his whole career to be one of the greatest race car drivers that ever lived. There's no doubt he has that status.
Well said. 35 cars are on the lead lap. Denny Hamlin is 61 laps down. He has returned to the track. All 43 cars now are running, but a handful of them, Elliott Sadler, Earnhardt Jr., Stewart, Sorensen, Hamlin, many laps down. Clint Boyer is the race leader. There you see second place Kurt Busch and his brother Kyle. With 76 complete, approaching halfway, let's take you around the field, starting with Marty Snyder.
And up front is Clint Boyer and Kyle and Wally. I would bet the best sound you can hear at a restrictor plate race over your radio as a driver is absolute silence. Mike Dillon, the spotter for Clint Boyer, said, "Buddy, I tell you what, unless anything happens, I'm not going to speak for the next little bit." So far, not a word on the 07 radio. Very happy with it. He's starting to get a little bit too tight for him in the corner zone. Ralph?
Marty in second place is chassis number PSC 068. Behind the wheel, Kurt Busch. This car ran very good at the Daytona 500 back here in February before it was crashed in an incident involved with Tony Stewart. They took it back to the shop, put a new body on it, sent it back to the wind tunnel, and it still put up great numbers. Marty?
Kyle Busch has been on a streak lately, Ralph, with finishes of 11th or better in 4 straight races. On that last run, he was tied on the bottom, loose on the top. They went down half around on the track bar. Kyle currently running running in third, following his brother, a combination that has worked pretty well in the past. Lindsay?
And Marty, Carl Edwards is pretty happy with his car also. Bob Osborne, his crew chief, just said be calm, be focused. On their last stop on lap 58, they gave him 4 tires, fuel, made a wedge adjustment. Carl says it feels good. Matt.
Lindsay, the top 3 cars had pulled away from the 99 and the 48 of Johnson, but they've slowly reeled them back in. Jimmy says his car is just too tight, already formulating their game plan for their next stop. Meanwhile, the 12 of Newman. Something's wrong with the 07. Boyer.
He was the race leader, now clearly off the pace. That's
switch or something. Come outside.
Hearing that it could be an electrical problem for Clint Boyer.
Again? Yeah.
Ignition
box? Ignition or have to swap boxes? No, I just saw boxes.
2 ignition boxes in the cars.
You've got 2 boxes, you've got a spare. If one of the ignition boxes go out, you just hit the switch, goes to the backup ignition box, and you keep on running. Fortunately, he's lost a lot of spots.
You're not kidding. This portion of NASCAR on TNT's Wide Open coverage is brought to you by AutoZone. We'll keep an eye on Clint Boyer. Let's check back in with Marty.
Well, you guys heard what he was saying on the radio. He said something happened. He had to switch boxes. The suspicion by Gil Martin, his crew chief, is that he accidentally hit a switch on the steering wheel that switched boxes for him. They switched back. Everything is fine. The 07 back up to speed, but he went from the lead, Bill, all the way back to 19.
Yep.
You know, the one thing a lot of these cars have now are dual boxes, dual coils, and dual distributor settings, so they can go back and forth. So you may run an A with a B with an A, as far as an A box with an A distributor with a B coil in it. So
Right.
there's multiple combinations. It's not just flipping switches. So when something like that happens when you're leading, I'm gonna tell you, man, it rattles you. You don't know which way to go.
And it's ugly. It's ugly looking in there,
It's
too.
ugly looking when you're It's ugly looking when you're leading the race and everybody's coming at you. I'm gonna tell you, it's ugly then.
There you can see some of the biggest stars of the sport have had a tough time here tonight. Past the halfway mark with Kurt Busch scored as the race leader. Led 95 laps here in the Daytona 500 in February before he was taken out in a crash with Tony Stewart. 2 second-place finishes for Kurt here in 13 races. It's his brother right behind him in the 5. Carl Edwards in the 99. Busch's teammate, Brian Newman in the 12. And then Matt Kenseth, who really has come racing forward after the problems on pit road. Keep your eyes on the action here. Kurt Busch out front. Fans, for your next automotive pit stop, get into AutoZone. AutoZone helps you get the job done right first time, every time.
We know that these guys are severe drivers. You're probably a severe driver too if you drive in stop-and-go traffic, drive in extreme heat, or make frequent short trips. Most vehicle manufacturers recommend that severe drivers change their oil every 3,000 miles. That's right, every 3,000 miles. So battle your severe conditions by getting to AutoZone today. We'll help you get the job done right the first time, every time. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
All right, boys, let's get her ready. We're bringing her in. It's got to be fast.
When you're in a hurry and you've got to get in and out, you've got to have AutoZone, powered by ZNet. ZNet gives you pictures, diagrams, and instructions, helping you get what you need faster, so you can do the job right the first time, every time.
Good job, guys. Good job.
AutoZone, powered by ZNet.
We're past halfway, and the race is underway here now. Front 3 guys were trying to break away, but that second pack of 4, which is now settled down, was really wild.
I don't think anybody's going to be able to break away. I mean, because the handling, it's not like, I don't even think these guys are handling that great.
No, I don't think they're handling that great either. The only car, and I made a comment about him earlier, not being able to push when he couldn't push the 24, is the 17. He has driven from mid-pack back up into the top, running from the middle of the racetrack to the top side. His car may not be handling the best, but he's comfortable with driving it where it's wanting to run.
Did he just pat himself on the back there?
No, I said he couldn't push. I was discarding him at the front of the first of the race. No. I'm not patting myself. I was saying, hey, this guy's not going to be in the race. And the next thing I know, he is in the race.
Okay.
I was just showing you I was an idiot.
Lindsay, how about the 17?
You don't have to show us that.
I just want to say, it's fine if Kyle wants to pat himself on the back. I say go for it. The 17th of Matt Kenseth. Right now, he does feel pretty confident about the car. He did say it is a little bit loose getting into the turns, though. And 99, of course, Carl Edwards right now falling backwards a little bit. But Bob Osborne did get back on the car a little bit ago and did say you got a couple of bushes up ahead of you. It's past halfway point, time to start racing.
That's for sure. How about the 99, Lindsay?
The 99 of Carl Edwards. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about.
Right.
Exactly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow. Carl Edwards is really lifting out of the throttle there. So,
oh my goodness.
I mean, he's running in 5th spot, but he's out of the gas a bunch. So he's got his hands full in that car.
That was incredible how much he was out of the gas getting into turn 1. I mean, you heard it just on the gas, then absolutely positively out of the gas, and then back into it. A lot of times, as Wally's pointed out a couple of times, you could hear him fade in and fade out, fade in and fade out. That was a jump out, jump back in.
Larry.
Well, guys, let's talk about the problem that Clint Boyer had a while ago when he thought the ignition system failed. Right over here on the right side of the dash in every race car, this is where you have your 2 ignition boxes, 2 rev limiters, 2 coils. Well, you don't have a chance to try to figure out which one of those systems has actually failed you. So what you can do, the driver reaches over to this switch, flips it up, and that pretty much changes everything about the ignition system. You go to ignition system 2, and it eliminates boxes, coils, and the rev limiters. That's what Clint Boyer had to do, I might add, under green at over 180 miles an hour a while ago.
Wow. I'll tell you, 48's got to be careful. Kyle Busch is pinning the 48 down pretty hard. He's not giving him any room. By doing that, he's going to make them loose. If you get right on a guy's right rear quarter panel going through the corner, you're going to make that car on the bottom extremely loose. You got to be careful when you're doing that. You want to give the guy room. You don't want him getting loose or sliding up into you.
And that 11 car of Denny Hamlin that you saw in the shot a minute ago, more than 60 laps down. Oh, our local cable operators a break. We'll be gone for less than 90 seconds. Then our wide open coverage will continue on TNT. 8 laps past the halfway mark, and the Pepsi 400 at Daytona live on TNT. Didn't miss a thing. Kurt Busch continues to lead. His brother is behind him. But Jimmy Johnson's between them. Go ahead.
Kyle, this thing, to me, is looking like it's getting uglier and uglier the way these cars are getting through the corners right now.
The way they're letting off, you know, we saw the 17 drive up to 4th, and then he got hung on the inside of the 5, and the next thing you know, he's back to 4th or 5th, or back to 5th, and the 12 car's back up in there. And we saw the 12 car kind of give himself some breathing room a little bit, but now he's run back up there and caught up. So it's just, no, I don't know where these guys can run right now, and I'm not sure they know where they can run.
See our race summary at the bottom of the screen, and this portion of NASCAR on TNT's Wide Open coverage is brought to you by the all-new full-size Toyota Tundra. It's almost like like you're racing on ice out there.
Well, like we talked about earlier, when there's no grip in this racetrack, and especially for this race. But I mean, just look, you look at down on the bottom, Casey Mears down there. I mean, he's just hanging on.
And that's why they come off the corner. That look, they're giving each other 5 feet, 4 and 5 feet. We didn't see that the first part of the race. We saw these guys right on top of each other. Right now, when Casey comes off, he's just hanging on, but he has absolutely got wheel cranked in that thing to keep it on the yellow line in case it does take off. You saw Blaney in the middle. He gave himself plenty of room on both sides in case something happened. These guys are absolutely, they're just hanging on, like Wally says. They're absolutely hanging on, but they want to give themselves room to escape.
Down to pit road, Marty.
Well, guys, earlier Clint Boyer was leading. He and his crew chief Gil Martin were trying to diagnose what exactly happened with the electronics on the 07.
Tell you what happened, I downed some rear brake in it to come into pit road, and when the cable had to pinch the wire or something. There's nothing down there. The kill switch on the steering wheel doesn't operate on box 2, so it's bypassed. Don't worry about it, just be focused. It'll go back to the front.
And guys, now they're trying to get him focused on getting back up to the front. As you heard Gil Martin say, they're back in 17th right now. But guys, it's crazy back there. Clint saying his car is very tight. He just described it as horrible a moment ago. It's not like we're at Daytona and at a restrictor plate race. It's like we're at the Lowe's Motor Speedway, and he's back in traffic. The car is just not the way it was up front.
but two things. Okay, the 07 said, Clint Boyer said, even when he was in front, that his car was tightening up a little bit. When he gets in traffic and there's not as much downforce on the front, it's going to get double tight. So he is in worse trouble back in traffic than what he was leading.
Kurt Busch leading Jimmy Johnson. Keep your eye on the action, and let's go behind the scenes with the all-new full-size Toyota Tundra, the truck that's changing it all.
Having a half-ton with the most legroom and a fancy rear seat is great, but truckers want to know if it's still got some truck left in it. Put it this way, if it'll draw bar pull 6,400 pounds of dead weight, towing 10,100 pounds is a walk in the park. Hello, Dolly. Available on the all-new Tundra Crew Max, the truck that's changing it all.
The truck's impressive, but so is the guy driving it.
No kidding.
Man, oh man.
Need a camera on his face. That's
Yeah,
all.
that's right.
I just want to see his eyes when that thing jerks one time.
Kurt Busch is the race leader, Mr. Shaheen.
17 does not look very happy with 5-car.
They have been waving back and forth the last few laps. Ralph, you got something for us, bud?
Well, you know, the number 2 car of Kurt Busch is pretty much exactly the worst kind of nightmare a crew chief can have here, and it's exactly what you get at Daytona in July. Chasing that setup all day long. Early on, he was a tick loose, then he got tight. Now, once again, Larry McReynolds, he's gotten loose again. They're going to work on taking a half turn out of the right rear in this next stop. But really what you're working on, Larry, if I get this right, is that final stop and getting the setup balanced as good as you can for that last run to the checker.
Well, and that's the good thing. It sounds like pretty much that group right now, they're sitting there where they can make that car go one way or the other. Now, the bad thing about it is that last pit stop, Ralph, is not that far away. We only have 65 laps to go. We may only see one more pit stop, so that could be the stop that you have to get it right.
We'll watch for that, Larry. Approaching the lap 100 mark in this portion of NASCAR on TNT's Wide Open Coverage, brought to you by Miller Lite. So you watch Kurt Busch and you watch Jimmy Johnson, but you better keep your eye on that 17 of Matt Kenseth and the 5 of Kyle Busch. They were racing pretty hard there for a few laps. And by the way, that would be J.J. Yaley right there in that 18 car in 5th spot.
He's just quietly worked his way from the back to the front, and he's done it right there on the bottom, from mid to the bottom. He has not really deviated from his game plan from running right there.
The car that looks the best, I think, in this group right now is the 48 car. It just looks to me like he can run where he wants to run, and it just looks like he needs a little bit of help to get past that 2 car. What's he saying, Matt?
Wally, the balance isn't exactly perfect, but right now Jimmy Johnson just riding. He's hugging the bottom. He'll move up a lane and a half or so, but right now he says if he's got clean air, he can mat it. Otherwise, he has to really let out of the gas in the center of the corner, but it is rolling well through the center of the corner. So Johnson is pleased with the 48 machine.
Been about 40 laps since the last round of stops. J.J. Ailey in that 18, that green Interstate Batteries machine, doesn't have any teammates that would be able to help him tonight. Tony Stewart is 34 laps down. Denny Hamlin 62 laps down after they took each other out while running first and second early in the race.
Now we've got two teammates hooked up, so it'll be interesting to see if these guys can work past Kurt Busch now.
The 48 of Jimmy Johnson and the 5 of Kyle Busch, both from Hendrick Motorsports. Kenseth in the 17 drives for Jack Roush. The 18, Yaley, drives for Joe Gibbs. Race leader Kurt Busch for Roger Penske. Marty?
Well, guys, you know, I observed it from up there in the booth. Kyle Busch and Matt Kenseth, who are now side by side, were nose to tail a moment ago and not very happy with each other. The Kyle Busch side of things, he said over the radio, you go find the 17 spotter and ask him how he wants to drive my car. I'm getting sick of this on the racetrack.
Patience, boy.
You know, I mean, you know, when these cars aren't handling and you're racing like this, the frustration level gets up to the top a little bit quicker than normal.
And Wally made the call a minute ago. The 5 car was keeping the 48 really tight in the corner. And he did the same thing to the 17, and the 17 didn't appreciate it. That's all it boiled down to, was Kenseth didn't appreciate him leaning on him like that.
Lindsay, how about that 17?
Well, you guys are exactly right, and especially Kyle, what you just said. They don't appreciate it at all. And the fact is, they feel like they are getting no help whatsoever from the number 5 car. And every time they try to get close to him to make something happen, Kyle goes up into him and gets about inches from his door.
Speaking of inches, Carl Edwards in the 99 trying to help his teammate Matt Kenseth in the 17. David Stremme in that 40 car having a good run tonight.
And Wally, you know, that there the 99 pushes the 17 off into the corner, and you think, my God, he's going to clear all these guys.
Yeah.
But when your car drives that bad or it won't turn, you can't use it. I don't care if you run in the corner 20 miles an hour faster than somebody. If you can't get it turned right there where you heard him rolling out of it, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, if you're going to bump trap here tonight, you need to do it early on the straightaway, not when you're getting to the corner. If you do it like right now or early in the straightaway, you can recover. But when you do it right before you get to the corner, you just go sailing off into turn 1 about 5 miles per hour quicker than you have all night, and the car wasn't turning when you were going slower. It's really not going to turn now.
You know, this place begins to be and race more like a short track, the worse the handling is. You got to pass people coming off the corner, get position on them, and go by them down the straightaway. You can't pass people going in the corner like you can at Talladega and places like that, or like at Atlanta or a place like that. So it becomes more of a short track. Even though it's a 2.5-mile racetrack, you have to kind of drive the car and put yourself in position to pass people coming up off the corner and down the straightaway.
We owe our local cable operators a break. We'll be gone for just 75 seconds. That's about a lap and a half. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Oh. The lights of Daytona, the Pepsi 400 with 102 laps complete. The 18th race of the 2007 season. Still up front, Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth, J.J. Yaley. Then David Stremme. There are your top 6 cars.
You know, these guys were racing side by side, nose to tail, doing all this about 4 or 5 laps ago. And now all of a sudden they've just decided, okay, let's just ride here and fall in line. And when they did, look at how far ahead they've got of the 7th, 8th, and 9th place cars. They really begin to stretch out a little bit, even though
they must have heard you.
even though they're running multiple lines through the corners, they've kind of stayed in line.
Larry.
Guys, you know what I'm working on down here. All the leaders were on pit road at lap 58. I think within the next 5 to 8 laps, we could see what might be our final pit stop, because I think as long as they pit somewhere between 108 and 112, that will get them to the end of this 160-lap race.
Wait a minute, you think or you know?
I know.
Okay.
And that's if we do not have another call.
I never doubted you, Larry. Well, you said they were single file, didn't you?
I said they were single file, and then all of a sudden these guys, but look how far ahead they are. Yeah. I got to give a nod to David Stremme here. Remember, he was in an accident with the 96 car early in the race. Spent some time on pit road, went to the back, and he's driven this thing back up in there. So there's 2 Dodges, 3 Dodges up here in the top 5 or 6. Stremme's doing a great job tonight.
I knew you'd notice that. Matt?
Bill, a lot of crew members running up and down pit road, visiting other crew chiefs, finding out their game plan right now here in the 48 pit. It's taking 109 on the racetrack, pitting on lap 110, and that's pretty much the story with a number of the leaders. The 48 and the 5 teams are working together, getting ready for that final stop like Larry Mack talked about.
These boys are not playing nice.
Well, I just noticed the 17 went after the 5 and did his best to get him loose between 3 and 4 right there.
Yeah, the 5 and the 48 may be working together, but 2 teams that aren't are the 17 and the 5. I'm going to tell you.
They're working together on wrecking each other.
Exactly. Right now they're working on each other. That's what they're doing.
This portion of NASCAR on TNT's Wide Open coverage being brought to you by Subway Restaurants. Kurt Busch in the 2, the Miller Lite ride right at the front there. And there you see the 2 we're watching, the 5 and the 17. The 5 is Kyle Busch, the 17, Matt Kenseth. Jimmy Johnson in that 48 has the 2nd spot for a moment.
But you know what? If that 5 car will pull the 17 car up, they'll become best friends. You know, you can hate a guy for about 5 or 6 laps, but if it works in your favor, all of a sudden you're good friends.
Yeah, we'll see. David Stremme to pit road. We knew these pit stops were coming. Lindsay.
David Stremme's car is in, and you see they're working on the right side tires. David had said his car was a little bit tight. Right now, he's just thankful to be able to be in this race. He had his best career finish at the Daytona 500. He ended up 11 in that race. At the time, it was his best. David is away.
Field on the backstretch heading into turn 3. Larry, what are you thinking?
I just wanted to ask Kyle, or make a statement to Kyle. Kyle, the next time John Andretti or Bobby Labonte tells you their car's loose, show them a video of the 5 car Kyle Busch here tonight. That car has been loose all night long.
I was just getting ready to say, Larry, when you said that, that would be a simple video to show, because you can pick any lap and he's going to be sideways somewhere out there. But you got to give the kid credit. He is a talent like we hadn't seen in the sport in a long, long time. And I said it before. My father said he's probably got more natural talent than anybody to come along since Tim Richmond.
And I think that's the reason he can pretty much write his ticket as far as where he goes and drives a race car for 2008.
Those are the leaders going by Scott Riggs, who is out of power on the backstretch.
And you heard him say turn in at the chicane, but Scott was turning in coming out of turn 2 down there. So hopefully he'll get out of the way and we won't go caution, because if we go to caution, the guys that have already pitted are in a little bit of trouble.
Oh, he locks him up. Got to be careful when you're running 185 miles per hour to right there where you got to be 55. It's easy to lock those that right front tire up.
Lindsay.
And the 17 pulls in. Their plan is to give him 4 tires, give him fuel. Matt, like we said before, had been saying that he was a little bit tight, but last time, like we told you about, he pulled too close inside the pit wall. They were able to get those 4 tires on last time, but of course he was late. Back behind him, 99 of Carl Edwards. Carl comes down into his pit box. His plan, after being a little bit too loose, is to get a little bit of a better track position, guys, obviously. Ralph.
Well, the 26 of Jamie McMurray has been working his way back up through the field. He's taken 4 tires of fuel. He's a tick loose. He's trying to break back into the top 10.
And there you see pit road a busy place, and Kurt Busch.
That thing was locked up for 100 feet. Doesn't matter, they're pulling it off. Ralphie, here he comes.
They count Kurt Busch into his pit box. The plan here is to go a half round up on the right rear. I talked to crew chief Pat Tryson just moments ago. He does not think this will be their last pit stop as they swing around to the right side, Matt.
Ralph, significant adjustment for Jimmy Johnson. Chevrolet, both wedge and track bar adjustment, trying to free him up. Mike Knauer signifying that they are full of fuel, and he's away. Marty.
Further up pit road, Kyle Busch leaves pit road. His car is actually tied in the middle of the corner. When it comes off the corner, it snaps a little loose, half a round up on the track bar, and what probably is the last stop of the day. Clint Boyer leaving pit road as well. They wanted to try and take 2 for the track position, but Gil Martin told me just can't afford it right now. Had to take 4 tires. 24 cars. Jeff Gordon up front. He said his car is extremely tight. Tried to stay with his teammate Jimmy Johnson early in that run. Just couldn't do it. Air pressure and wedge for the 24 car, Jeff Gordon. Lindsay?
And the 25 of Casey Mears on pit road right now. Casey Mears has said his car a little bit loose. They're right around working the left side tires right now. Bill?
Thanks, Lindsay. All these stops occurring now. 110 laps are complete. These stops coming under green. Matt?
And David Gilliland, who's had a couple great restrictor plate races, some top 10 finishes, working his way to pit road as well. His service already complete. Mark Martin's service already complete. Both cars on the tight side.
And this is really going to stretch the pack out, I think, big time right here after these pit stops.
It always does. The green flag stops for whatever reason. If guys are running, that was an incredibly close call right there. But the green flags, the guys that are running first, second, third, and fourth, they come out together. The next group comes out together. But for whatever reason, they're always a second farther behind, or 2 seconds farther behind.
Okay, now we saw Jeff Gordon coming off of pit road. Let's go back and watch his stop and listen.
Oh, he stalled it.
Go, Dick. Straight out. Outside, clear, all clear.
And that right
dig
there.
Hard, dig hard. You got one outside.
Cost him about 200 yards on the racetrack.
On the racetrack. That's exactly right. You know, what's interesting to watch these guys come down pit road. Well, and you made the comment, the 2-car. My God, he locked it up for 150 yards. And what's interesting to watch these guys, you see him coming into his pits. That's front brake right there. And you heard Clint Boyer early. He slides all the way through his box and has to be pushed back. But what's interesting, when they come off turn 4 and they try to get in the pits, you've got nobody in front of you to judge off of.
Right.
You're the first car, so you got to make that move. And those guys, we saw the 2 do it. We saw the 17 do it when they pitted by themselves, but the guys behind them didn't lock up. Why didn't they lock up? Because they're judging off that guy in front of them. They're just pacing themselves, and you're able to make better time if you're not the first car sometimes.
Field a little spread out now. Kurt Busch is the race leader, then Johnson, Kyle Busch, and Stremme. Fans, fast food doesn't have to slow you down. Race over to Subway restaurants today. Subway, race hard, eat fresh.
Welcome back to NASCAR on TNT Live. Mark Fine alongside Larry McReynolds and Wally Dallenbach. And guys, what a race we have for fans today. Wally, let's get right into it. A lot of strategy in this race. What should we be looking for?
Well, I think it's always going to be about fuel strategy.
Man, am I hungry. I knew I should have eaten something earlier. How long is this race? 400 miles. Man, there's no way I can make it that long. You know what would be good right now? A delicious, fresh Subway sandwich.
And we're clear. 2 minutes, guys. Back in 2 minutes.
Hey, guys, give me the usual. Make it fast.
Sure thing, Mr. McReynolds. Coming right up.
Don't forget the extra veggies.
You got it.
Remember, I love mustard.
There you go, sir.
Great job. Gotta go.
And we're back. Welcome back to NASCAR on TNT Live. Mark Fine again alongside Larry McReynolds and Wally Dallenbach. And again, guys, we talked fuel going to be such a big part of the race today.
Fuel up today at Subway restaurants, where you can grab fast food that will fill you up without slowing you down.
Subway, race hard, eat fresh.
Hey, pass the mustard, would you?
McReynolds wasn't acting. That's all I have to say about that.
That's a natural.
Oh, Marlin.
Caution is out.
Wow.
Oh, there's the follow-up wreck.
You blew a damn tire. And there you have it.
And that's what it did.
And that's what it did. So.
And that's what you feel like when you. And I'm going to defend Sterling Marlin until the end of time for that, because that's what you feel like after. Because he was having a great run.
Yeah.
He was having a great run today in that 14, and he is great at places like this.
This portion of NASCAR on TNT's Wide Open coverage is brought to you by the Principal Financial Group.
Watch how fast this thing comes around.
Oh!
just got into Ricky Rudd, too.
So Rudd will have some damage as well.
He knows he's in trouble right here.
Right there.
Elliott Sadler 8 laps down is the lucky dog.
You know, if he would have missed Rudd, he may have missed everything.
Yeah.
He had that thing spinning down the left there pretty nicely.
Okay, go to the garage. Go to the garage, guys.
So Sterling tries to limp it back to the garage. You saw the battle for the lead just before that happened. So Kyle Busch now scored as the race leader. Kurt Busch's brother second, then Jimmy Johnson, Stremme.
All right, we need to talk to Larry. What are they going to do, Larry?
I think he's getting something to eat.
Well, here's the deal, guys. I think you'll see a lot of the leaders stay out because we don't have that many laps on tires. We see a little cat and mouse going on here. Looks like it's about a split decision, but if you were doubting if you could make it on fuel, this obviously will give you the opportunity to make sure you top it off and go the distance.
So you knew the guys from whatever, the first one that came in that bunch back was all going to come in.
Lindsay.
David Stremme in the Coors Light Dodge comes in, says he feels a little bit free. 4 tires, fuel, and a half pound out of the left side to Marty.
Jeff Gordon's in up at the very front end of pit road. That very first pit stall is where he is. His car is still too tight. The last 2 stops, they have added tape to the nose of that car. They do an air pressure adjustment this time, trying to get him going better on the racetrack. David Stremme with a little trouble on pit road, Weber.
Yeah, he spun out trying to get into his pits.
He was already in his pit. He had to have been hit.
Oh, he's got
had
damage on the right front.
Yeah, he had to have been hit leaving his pits because he was one of the first guys on pit road.
Yeah, he's got damage on the right front. You're right, Kyle. He got clobbered as he was exiting pits right there.
Oh, wow.
And
wow. Paul Menard in the 15.
But I want to, when you see this happening from this angle, bang.
I'll tell you what, Stremme came out pretty hard. He made a hard right-hand corner there. And he was trying to clear the car in front of him.
Was running in the top 5. Need to get on a local break here. We'll be back in less than 90 seconds on TNT.
Mark Fine and Larry McReynolds with you now as we are still under caution here in Daytona. The Pepsi 400 time to check your Pepsi leaderboard now. And the Busch brothers up front in this one with 43 to go. Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch, both 1 and 2. And we're going to take a look at a little race recap for you as well. Didn't take long, Larry, for issues to happen in this race. Casey Kane and Jeff Green into it lap 3.
No, we didn't get started good, but the good news is they kept working on this 9 car of Casey Kane. He has now worked his way back to the top 20.
Lap 14, couple of teammates getting into it.
And these guys were leading the race, and based on their interviews after this wreck, I think Joe Gibbs make a little trip down, talk to the boys about teamwork.
Yeah, they were not getting along, that is for sure. Jamie McMurray, 3rd time he's led laps this year, and he's black flagged, and not obviously happy about that.
A drive-through penalty under the green, but he got back on the lead lap, and now he's up in the top 10.
Kevin Harvick and Juan Pablo Montoya. Harvick's guys were telling him watch out for that guy. He had issues in the Busch race. And then Sterling Marlin, lap 116. This we just saw a short while ago. And now we've had problems on pit road as well.
But that was a shame on Sterling Marlin right there. His 51st start at Daytona, and he was running up at the top 10 when that happened right after a green flag pit stop.
All right, let's get it down to the pits now. Marty Snyder standing by. Marty?
Well, Mark, for the leaders up front, a lot of debate as to whether or not to pit that last time for Kyle Busch. The decision was to stay out. Here's the radio traffic.
You sure? Yeah, bud. I didn't think we could go that far on 22-gallon cells. Yeah, we're good. Wait a second. We used to have 13. Oh, it's all making sense now. It's all making sense now.
And back last year, they had 13-gallon fuel cells. Alan Gustafson up here on top of the pit box. The decision was to stay out. Any doubt in your mind at all?
No, we're good on fuel from there. That's only 4 green on our tires, and that would cost us about 10 spots. This Kyle's CarQuest Chevy's been running real good. Pit stop's been good. Kyle's been doing a whale of a job driving the wheels off that thing. So we'll just click off these next 42 here and see if we can't get us another win here at Daytona.
I assume you want to keep that 48 right on your bumper. But also he has his brother back there too, so it seems like he's got a lot of help.
Yeah, I think we'll have a lot of help to about 5 to go, and then they'll go away. So.
A lot of help until 5 to go. That's always the case, right, Larry Mack?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I totally agree with Alan Gustafson because he was on pit road at lap 109. This caution comes out about lap 114 or 115. We've talked about the safest places out front. We just need to make a note. These cars hold 19 gallons of fuel, and with that carburetor restrictor plate, especially in a draft, they get about 7.1 miles to the gallon. I think a lot of these guys can easily go 50 laps, especially with saving fuel under these cautions.
Is he thinking again?
I'm working my calculator. I'm good to go.
You're not backing, that beeping sound, that isn't you backing up, is it?
No, but it's me just finishing my Subway sandwich.
Oh, okay. Top 8 cars did not pit. The lights are out on the pace car. Get the green this time by Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, J.J. Yaley, Ryan Newman, Casey Mears, Mark Martin, and Brian Vickers stayed out. The top 8. This portion of NASCAR on TNT's Wide Open coverage brought to you by Nextel. Pace car to pit road. Restart right about there. Green flag goes in the air. 41 to go.
I think you'll see some guys trying to make a move here. Got 41 to go. Patience is running out. And the way these cars are handling, and as much track as you're going to need after you get 25 or 30 laps on these tires, Kyle, I think you're going to want to try to get as close to the front as you can.
Yeah, and we saw it right there on the restart. These guys flared as soon as they passed the start-finish line. You see guys jump left, you see guys jump right. They got to get it on the restart because that's a perfect call. They got to have the whole racetrack 20, 30 laps from now.
Truex up to the top. 3 wide right there. He got squeezed up against the wall.
It was darn close to 4 wide.
That's Vickers there in the center.
Yep. Brothers at the front.
And Casey Mears jumps out there to the high side.
He's going to need some help out there.
Yeah, he's looked in the mirror and hoping he would have some. There's Vickers pulling up behind Truex.
Wow. Kyle Busch in the 5, Kurt Busch in the 2, then Jimmy Johnson.
Is that McMurray right there? 5th or 6th spot in that
Welcome
26
back.
car? Yeah. Well, we said he was going to make it to the top, and he did.
Was black flagged earlier in the race for passing below the yellow line. This is what we were watching a moment ago.
Yeah, just especially coming off a Ford, just things narrow up a lot. Cars are jumping around. Yeah, this will look tighter from this shot.
There's Devlin on the outside, still in the middle.
That's pretty close to the buck 85.
I'm just saying, I'm sitting here in the booth, and that not only looks tight, that feels tight right there. I'm going to tell you, man, that takes your breath when you come off the corner. But that shows, these guys have talked about how bad their cars drive, how bad they're handling, all this stuff. That shows these guys got a little bit of control on new tires. These cars will go where they put them.
Right. Ralph.
Well, Kyle's right. I just spoke with crew chief Pat Tryson for Kurt Busch, and they only had 6 laps on these tires just before that last yellow came out. They really didn't want that yellow. They wanted to keep going. They think their car just gets better as the run gets longer. They're also hoping that the 5 car gets worse as the run gets longer. They think his car starts sliding up the racetrack, and he's going to come back to them as this run continues to the checker.
This is going to be fun. I'm sorry, this is going to be fun to watch, though, right now.
I was going to say, that 17 and that 26 car, that might be dangerous to everybody right there, because I think if those 2 guys hook up, it's going to be tough for everybody else.
You know, and they can hope that 5 car gets worse all they want to, but as that 5 car gets worse, Kyle's talent gets better. I'm going to tell you that, because he just gets better and better the worse that car drives.
Kyle Busch won the Busch race earlier today. That was 250 miles. This one's 400. He's behind his brother. Those are teammates in the high group. The 26 of McMurray and the 17 of Kenseth. Wow, wild at the front. Fans get more done with Nextel only from Sprint. 1 phone, 2 powerful networks.
All right, guys, we've been preparing for this all year. There is no room for error. Jerry, are you listening? I will be stationed here at home base. Jeff, you need to be here by 1320. Scott, you need to be here. And Jerry, you need to be in section 3 by 1350 if we're gonna get in. Watch us synchronize. Check.
Check.
Nextel Motorola Buzz IC 502s. Check. All right, team. This is it. There's no room for error. Gentlemen, this is home base. What is your position?
Alpha 1, in position. 4 hats, 4 shirts, secured. I'm en route. Beta 2, all systems go. The food is in the bag.
Gamma 3, status check.
Hey, Beta,
Jerry, checking in.
What is your status?
I'm in line. I will have the tickets in
just a minute.
Over and out now.
Jerry, this entire operation hinges on your success.
What is your status? Where's Jerry?
He hasn't checked in yet. Jerry, status check. What is your status? Gamma 3, status check.
Nextel helps NASCAR fans get things done with the new Motorola Buzz. One powerful phone, 2 powerful networks. Nextel, only from Sprint.
Starting to get rough.
Sure glad you didn't have to miss that.
Starting to get rough.
It's Clint Boyer in the 07. You saw the contact.
But you know, the thing is, one lap you go down there, your car sticks. The next lap you go there, your car doesn't feel the same. And by the time you get back again, it's a totally different car. That's where these tires are so special. And that's why you want them. But I mean, my God, these guys are hung in this position right now. They got what they got.
Yeah, I think you see Mears there on the point. I don't think he wants to be there right now. I think he'd like to get out of the middle and get either in the hot line or the low line.
And anywhere but where he is,
yeah,
right?
The middle is not good.
Larry?
Oh, boys, the guy that started on the pole, Jeff Gordon, in that 24 car, looked like when this race started, he kind of found him a place back in the field. But now at 34 laps to go, Big Daddy's on the move.
I'll tell you what, though, McMurray's also another really good story in that 26.
Wow.
Kyle Busch trying to take second. It's McMurray in the 26. This portion of NASCAR on TNT's Wide Open coverage is brought to you by NASCAR Hot Pass, only on DirecTV. It's David Gilliland in the 38, McMurray in the 26. Ooh, Boyer right on the bumper.
Yeah, he took a look down there. He kind of got blocked a little bit, had to get out of the throttle a little bit. But there was enough room between him and the 48 where it didn't cause too much of a problem.
You got to give Boyer a little bit of a call. He worked his way back up in here because he dropped absolutely to the back of the pack when he had that ignition trouble earlier.
Truex now up to third spot. I just don't think, I think 26 got a good car. I just don't think he's got enough help up on the high line there, Ralph.
Well, Wally, they're going to try to work together. Matt Kenseth in that yellow 17 and his teammate Jamie McMurray just in front of him in that yellow and blue number 26. In fact, Matt's been kidding him on the radio throughout the race about him getting that penalty earlier on. They're going to work together. He said, I'm not going to shove you all the way off the track down in turn 2, but I'll help push you to the front, Matt.
I'll pick it up from here, Ralph. Jeff Gordon back there in the pack in the 24 cars. Larry Mack mentioned started on the pole, and Larry Mack, he wasn't hiding out in the back. They were trying the front end of the car all night long, had trouble working. They put tape on it on the last 2 stops. They've done air pressure, wedge, and track bar. The 24 much better, currently in 9th, getting a little push from Mark Martin, Matt.
Marty, Jimmy Johnson not giving up the bottom. He is hanging with it. And really, the decision was to stay out. He was one of those cars that didn't pit because they didn't want to take a chance of having some kind of incident on pit road that happened to David Stremme right now. Just being patient, waiting until the final few laps.
Hard to be patient right about now.
Yeah, it really is. You know, getting back to what we were talking about between the 17, I don't think the 17 is good enough to help the 26 right now.
No, I don't think he's good enough. He wasn't good enough to help the 24 at the first of the race on cold tires. I think the 17, the 26, if we go back to the first of the race, those guys came on after about 20 or 25 laps. I think best case scenario for those two cars, or the Roush cars in general, is to finish the race under green, to be there towards the end, because those cars the handling seems to stay with them a little bit more. Tires are overcoming handling right now. Obvious the way these guys are jumping around, but tires are overcoming that.
So you're saying a longer green flag run?
A longer green flag run, I feel, is going to benefit the 17 and the 26 more so than the 5 and some of the other cars.
Marty.
Well, guys, up front, Martin Truex Jr. has found his way to the front. Midway through this race, he said the car won't run anymore. He was wondering what was happening. Well, what happened was he fell back in the traffic. Once they got back up front, the car has come back to life for Truex. I talked to him yesterday. He told me he left here in February feeling like he left some unfinished business at Daytona. Had a car that could finish in the top 5. Running up front right now, maybe he might win again, guys.
Tell you what, that 38 of David Gilliland restarted 17th. You know, we talk about the Busch brothers and their problems at Charlotte. You have to watch them here at the front, too. Kurt, the race leader, his brother Kyle right behind him. Matt.
Bill, a lot of drivers will tell you, you just get to a certain point in your career, and it's almost like flipping a switch. Things just come together, and that's what's happened, what Todd Parris says with David Gilliland. He says they've gotten a lot better in their communication, and he's gotten a lot smarter as a driver. Last year they ran races.
Oh, Charles,
stuff up.
Juan Pablo Montoya, Bobby Labonte in the 43. A lot of guys dodging traffic back there. Caution is out. Inside of 30 to go. John Andretti.
All right, take it easy. Slow down and take care of the tires. You're not that bad. We'll fix the fenders. Keep going here, okay? Don't blow the tires out.
Billy Wilburn, crew chief for John Andretti. John was running in the 27th position last time by. Ooh. Oh! Montoya with the wild ride. Who was that that hit the wall first?
I think, did Labonte get into somebody?
Yeah, no, it looked like the 00.
Got
into the outside wall. Bobby, it looked like
there he stayed up top. Well, but he was already wrecking there. But yeah, that was just a chain reaction.
And Bobby turns left and checks up, and then Montoya just runs all over him.
David Rudiman.
But Montoya's got no place to go. Let me be clear on that too. It's not that he ran over him.
But he did.
Yeah,
literally.
What part was it where there's a lot of damage to that 43? You can see that.
In front of you, James. Go high, go high, go high.
That's Earnhardt there, isn't it?
That's Earnhardt again. That's the 8 car again.
He's having a wonderful night.
Yeah, 26 laps down, having all kinds of fun.
That's why when you're 26 laps down, you don't want to be running in a pack, because you just get gathered in somebody else's stuff, man.
Tony was also hanging out back there, trying to stay out of trouble. Caution is out. Now we're going to see what happens.
I'm coming for tires, but I always do.
Mr. Crew Chief?
Guys, it's nights like tonight that I'm glad I'm up here doing a little bit of broadcasting, because this is a tough decision. We have 31 cars on the lead lap. We're going to have about 25 laps to go. Right now, those guys that stayed out on that last caution, like Kyle and Kurt Busch, David Gilliland, Martin Truex Jr., now they're getting to 18 laps on the tires. And Kyle and Wally, you know it's not that fresh tires will help the speed of the car. It just helps you be able to maneuver. And trust me, when it gets down to the end, you better be able to maneuver. I think we'll see a split decision. I think we'll see some cars on pit road. I think we'll see some guys that follow the leaders down pit road. I think we'll see them stay out, because you know what? It's the only shot they have to win a race.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more stay out this time than what we saw last time. That's just my opinion, because I think track position is so important right now.
And Kyle, that's what it looks like's happening. Is follow the leader out on the racetrack.
I think the pits are closed right now, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't know, Kyle. It depends on where you're sitting. If your car's good, man, if you're McMurray or somebody like that, I'm thinking you want to put on tires.
But you know, and like I said, I stand by halfway. I'm gonna halfway stand by what I said before. McMurray and those guys need long greens. I just think they need long greens. I think the 17 car needs a long green, and we don't have a long green left. We only have 27 laps.
I want a halfway standby.
Only halfway.
I want you to explain that to me.
I'm only halfway standing by.
You're only halfway standing. So you're on both sides of the fence on this one.
No matter what I say.
You're going to be halfway right,
Marty.
or halfway wrong.
No matter what I say,
Marty,
I stand behind for 7 days. After that, I reserve the right to change my mind.
I thought it was only till Sunday night at midnight, Kyle, as long as you stood behind it.
Sunday night midnight. You know my saying. That's it. It's over with after
that's
that.
Your personal policy. You know, I think you got to come here, guys, because these guys will have 18 laps on their tires right now. And if you're Kyle Busch and those guys, you see how Martin Truex Jr. and some of those guys came up through the field on those fresh tires, the 38 car. So I think you've got to come here now. Otherwise, tires will beat you if you don't come in and you're at the front.
You know, I'm going to agree with Marty, and I know that's hard to believe. First time. It's first time in 7 years.
Oh, my God.
I am going to agree with Marty. Marty, I hope you don't hang me out on this one.
This portion of NASCAR on TNT's Wide Open coverage is brought to you by Pepsi Racing. Under caution after a multi-car crash.
I should. Let me go back.
No.
I'm going to halfway stand by Marty.
I'll take it back. I hope everybody pits. I hope everybody. No, I hope everybody stays out. I'm going to go with them. There, I'm still halfway in.
I still don't know what you said. Oh, man. Pits are open this time by. And Kyle's going to be right no matter what, so.
Yeah, because we're all confused.
I'm telling you, some of these cars, I'm telling you. I mean, I'd just about be willing to stay out. But it looks like everybody's going to come down pit road.
I think you're going to be completely wrong on this one.
I am. That's what I said.
Marty and I were right, though.
Ralph.
Good call, Marty.
Well, when Kurt Busch saw the caution come out, he said to his crew chief, Pat Tryson, all right, Pat, this is where you make your money. Pat said, bring it on in here. Let's put 4 tires, make no adjustments, take some fuel, and get back out there and win this race, Matt.
Debating a 2-tire change in the 38. He definitely wanted a track bar adjustment. The car just too much on the tight side, and he stalls it, trying to get around the 5. He's away. Marty.
Kyle Busch, he leaves pit road, Matt, with 4 fresh tires. He said he was a little too free at the beginning of that run, so a little too tight at the beginning of that run. 3/4 of a round up on the track bar, trying to free it up just a little bit. Lindsay?
Marty, Matt Kenseth said he wanted to make the front end turn. It wasn't turning at all in the middle, so they put a half round in the left rear spring, gave him 4 tires and fuel.
How about that? All kinds of different strategy. Last week, Denny Hamlin won when he took 2 tires. Will it be 2, 4, or luck? Come back to TNT's Wide Open coverage in less than 90 seconds. Still under caution here at the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. 25 laps to go. For 10 years, Pepsi and Jeff Gordon have been a winning combination. Let's race down memory lane and victory lane with the 4-time series champion.
Pepsi and Jeff Gordon, 10 years running, 10 years of winning.
He has amazed me so many times in the car I can't even count.
There's no one that has a resume to even compete with Jeff Gordon in the last decade.
The record speaks for itself.
Congratulations on 10 years of Pepsi.
You deserve every bit of the success you've had.
That's a long run and a lot of successful time.
Jeff, thanks for a great 10 years. Here's to our next trip to Victory Lane. New from the makers of Pepsi, Jeff Gordon, 24 Energy. For a limited time only, it's going fast.
Field getting the 1 to go here at the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. Various strategies working. Casey Mears is the race leader. He last pitted on lap 110. We're working lap 136. From pit road, it was 4 tires for Kurt Busch and Jamie McMurray. Among the cars that took 2 tires, the 22 of Blaney, the 07 of Clinton Boyer, And we're told there was an issue for Martin Truex Jr. on his pit stop, and we'll get that story from Marty when he's ready to give it to us. So right now it's scored as Mears, the race leader. Marty?
Thank you, Weber. The story with Martin Truex Jr. was they accidentally took 2 tires on that one car. He came in, was too close to the wall on the left side. They meant to take 4, but they couldn't get the jack underneath the left side of the car, so they sent him on his way with just 2 tires. Then when they realized everybody else took 2 tires, they said, leave him out there. We'll see what happens. Ralph?
Pat Tryson is the crew chief for Kurt Busch. Pat, you chose to take 4 tires when you pitted here. Why did you choose that strategy?
Historically, 4 has really been an advantage here at Daytona, and Miller Lite Dodge has been awesome all night. We didn't want to take a chance of putting 2 on and getting too tight. So hopefully Kurt can get by these guys pretty quick, and we can, us and hopefully Kyle and a couple of those guys get away from all those guys, and we can put that Miller Lite Dodge in victory lane.
Bill, they dropped back to 6 with that pit stop, but they're hoping they got a good car ready to go here.
Thanks, Ralph. And look at that car in 2nd place. Casey Mears.
Casey Kane.
Casey Kane, I'm sorry. Casey Mears is the race leader. Casey Kane in 2nd.
Got the damage there on the left front from the first caution.
That's right.
Him and Jeff Green got together going into turn 1.
Mears and Kane did not stop under this caution.
You're going to see guys scrambling right now with different tires and everything like that. With 24 laps to go.
They got to scramble now. Every restart from this point on.
Oh, there it goes. Looks like Blaney may have missed a shift there, the way some of those guys started out underneath him.
And Gilliland almost ran right over Martin Truex. Casey Mears had a strong run at Charlotte in the Coke 600. Won the race using a fuel mileage strategy, but did have a good car in that race. Casey Kane runs 2nd. Then it's Truex Jr. and Clint Boyer. Lindsay on Casey Mears.
Bill, you talked about how they came in lap 110, took 4 tires to fuel the filled tank. They came in 2 times previously, but Casey said the biggest challenge he's having is working through traffic. So that is the whole thought behind keeping him out and making that decision.
Traffic's behind him now, and there's a lot of it.
I think 26 car knew where that yellow line was that time.
He knew exactly where that yellow line was that time.
Cannot go below the yellow line and make a pass. McMurray was black flagged for it earlier in the race. Has worked his way back up to the front. On board with Jeff Gordon.
Wow, yeah, no kidding.
It's McMurray, the 26. Biffle, his teammate, in the 16. Jimmy Johnson in the Lowe's Chevy, the 48. Pretty much, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is where the teammates need to start finding each other and working with each other. There you got 4 Roush cars down on the bottom.
But this is where the cars are working well,
oh,
so
man.
The inside line is the fastest line, and they're hung on the outside. And on new tires, we've talked about it, we beat it to death. There's just so much grip there, you can run on the bottom. I've been impressed that Casey Mears and Casey Kane have been able to hang on to 1st and 2nd for the last couple of laps.
But it's going to get to the point where one of these guys on the bottom, Kyle's got to lift because his car is going to slide or something's going to happen, and that outside line will then shoot by him. Well,
Wow.
there may be 3 or 4 lines before we get to that point, but
these guys are just trying to get away from the 25 and the 9, to tell you the truth.
Casey Kane hanging on there in the 9 car.
Going to lose a lot of spots there. Mears is trying to make his car about 30 feet wide. Be 20 to go this time by.
See Kurt Busch there in the 2 car got in between the Roush train there on the bottom.
You know, right now, the cars that are up front, the 5, the 07, the 48, those cars, they're the guys that have been up there. So these guys have worked their way back to the front of this pack no matter what. So most of these guys that have been in the top 3 or 4 all night long have worked their way back up to that point. But look at 07 on the outside here. He's just drove up on the outside of Casey Mears and those guys. He's just got a really good run and jumped up on the outside. And now that inside line, you see Casey Mears' car just kind of twitch a little bit there.
Side by side for the lead.
And this is where you start finding out who your friends are too. This is the part of the race where you're starting to run with guys, and you're wanting to see who's going to run with you and who's going to mess with you. And 5 Car's been messing with everybody, but he's got probably one of the best cars in the field.
Clear. You're clear. All right, you're clear.
And
About 5. Now, when I tell you something, let's do it right away. Don't hesitate on me.
Yeah, Marty, I was about to say the same thing to you, too.
Yeah, exactly right. Clint Boyer back out on the lead after he fell back after that electrical problem midway through the race, was back in 19th at one point. This is the same exact scenario they tried earlier in the race. 2 tires, about 14 laps on his left side tires. Boyer out front once again, Bill.
But those Hendricks cars are 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th right there.
Which tells you?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because I'm going to tell you what, that 4 car is screaming about that 25, or that 5 car is screaming about that 25 car right now.
And vice versa.
Yeah, vice
because
versa.
That 5 car is getting that 25 car awfully loose right now. He is driving right up on the rear bumper of his teammate.
Kyle Busch drives for Hendrick Motorsports. He's in the 5. Will leave that organization at the end of this year. That's his current teammate Casey Mears in front of him in the 25. And Jimmy Johnson in the low Chevy, another Hendrick car.
I'm going to tell you, if you're leading this thing, if you're the 07 leading this thing, which line do you pull? Do you try to pull the inside line? Do you try to pull the outside line? You know, he's got a little cushion there with the 25 car on older tires. The outside line's got fresh tires, and if he starts pulling those guys will come back to haunt him
exactly.
later in the race, is what I'm trying to say.
So that's why you want to be down on the inside. Make it harder for the guys that are on really good tires to get there.
Yeah, make them use their tires up a little bit, running that outside group, running a little bit longer line around the racetrack, putting a little bit more heat in those tires. Let them run them off a little bit before they get up there and can race with you.
Jeff Gordon.
Oh, there we go. Gilliland round. Oh, I cannot believe that's a single car accident.
I cannot. That's incredible.
And let's wait for the follow-up. Caution is out.
Hey, good job, man. Okay, keep going, keep going. It's okay, guys.
I think we talked in one of the pre-race shows about being lucky getting through all that stuff.
Tires.
Man, that was lucky.
I'll tell you, that's some luck and some
Coming
great
in right
driving.
now for tires. Man, don't tear the front valence off. Take it easy.
All right, let's go upstairs and take a look.
Now you see him in the center there. Biffle down on the bottom. Biffle going to slide up and get him. No, he just lost it right in the middle.
Oh,
just lost it. Oh, look how
man.
close he came taking Biffle out.
Almost got Edwards, too.
I'm going to tell you, right into the door of Blaney here. You see this thing get out from under him, and he turns right up into Blaney. Boom. Caves Blaney's door in. And Blaney's car never even looked like it moved from the helicopter. It looked like it just drove straight.
John Andretti in the 45 car, the lucky dog. Again, you're watching right here. Man. I don't know how you react that fast. I really don't.
There is no reaction. I don't think there is. When something happens that fast and it's in front of you, there really is no. You don't have time to stab the brake or stay. You're already in the gas wide open. Remember that. These guys are already flat-footed. They can't go any faster to try to avoid this. If they slow down, they know they're going to get run over. So you just kind of pick a line and you go with it. And that's where the spotters are so critical to help these guys.
This is On Board with Mark Martin, Principal Financial Ride.
The wreck right in front of us, man. Just keep digging, keep digging.
You see how he got through the wreck before the spotter even said anything on that deal. So sometimes it happens so fast. You like he did a good job. He kept the car straight, but
good job.
What are you going to do?
Slow it down. Caution down.
Like Kyle said, you don't want to jump out of the gas. You don't want to get on the brake because you got guys running all over you. So you just got to kind of roll out of the throttle and hope that the wreck is gone by the time you get there.
Let's check in with Marty.
Well, let's talk to Gil Martin, crew chief for Clint Boyer, and Gil just said he was too old for this. He needed some paddles down here. That scares me because you and I are kind of the same age, Gil.
Oh, I know. This has been an exciting night right here. The car's been really good. It's gone from the front to the back, and now we're back to the front. But I'd sure like to win this thing the last time in the Monte Carlo here because, I mean, for Jack Daniels and for this whole team, I'm so proud of everybody in the fab shop, the engine shop. They've done a great job, and Clint's doing a good job out there, too. We're gonna stay on him, coach his way to the end right here, and it'll be what it is.
Clint's last words to the team a moment ago: we're gonna win this thing. Nobody's getting by us. Lindsay, Bob, Bill.
Thanks, Marty. 54 career starts for...
The one car wanted 4. He took 2, and that didn't work out for him.
He took 2 as long as he could take 2.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
Let's take 2 and call me when I can get 4. Isn't that how it works? It's Truex Jr. Okay, Lindsay.
Thanks, Bill. I'm here with Darian Grubb, Casey Mears. Darian, you chose to stay out. What has your strategy become now that Casey's running second?
We've been getting just a little bit tight on long run all night, so we're a little bit free. We've been going from 25th to 10th all night. These guys have been fighting really hard. National Guard GMAC team's been doing a really good job in the pits. We just need to get that track position. Since we were getting tighter and tighter as the run goes, we started out front. We're a lot freer out in clean air, so we're just hoping that's going to help us out and keep us there.
Darian Grubb hoping to help Casey Mears get his second win of the season, Matt.
Lindsay on top of the 48 pit box, and you have to be impressed by the leadership and the great job that Ron Malik has done in the absence of Chad Canals, and also a great job calling the race by Lance McGrew. Your driver at one point said he went by the 9 car, and it was just insane how quick. How nerve-wracking for you sitting on top here and watching it all on TV?
Well, I mean, those guys have the nerve-wracking part. I just get to sit here and enjoy it and listen to comments like that. But I tell you what, this Lowe's team, Chad Canals is simply one heck of a race team here, and these guys are solid, and I'm just happy to be able to have the opportunity to sit in this chair and make a few calls with the help of Ron and all these guys. It's pretty amazing.
As crazy as it has gotten for the past 15 or so laps, and you've got a bunch of Hendrick cars up there, have you guys had your spotters talk to each other, trying to work a little more together?
Well, I mean, it's a little late in the race for team orders, so it's every man for himself. Everybody here, you know, that's one thing. There's no team orders at Hendrick. It's within the last 10 laps of this race, it's every man for himself, pretty much.
KP, I think probably the only team orders, please, just don't come back with only the steering wheel.
And don't wreck your teammate coming for the checkered. That's probably another team order.
That could be. That could be.
What were the team orders for the Gibbs guys earlier in the race? Do you remember what those were?
I think meet you at the shop Monday morning, 8 o'clock.
With the coach.
Yeah.
Field will get the 1 to go at the line. Marty?
Yes, gentlemen, the Martin Truex Jr. had to come down pit road, Bill. That accident actually happened with David Gilliland right in front of him. He had to get on the brakes really hard, was worried that he flat spotted the tires. He also didn't like the decision just to take 2 tires that last time. So just to be safe, they came down pit road, put on 4 brand new tires for Truex, but now he's back in the field and going to have to work his way back up through the field. He's going to have a chance to finish in the top 10, running 23rd right now, Bill.
Thanks, Marty. Field getting ready for the restart, half a lap from going green, be 13 to go when they get to the line. We're done with all of our branded content for the rest of the evening. So we'll be able to take you to the checkered flag, and you can see the sponsors in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. I want to thank them for being part of our TNT wide open coverage of the Pepsi 400 tonight here at Daytona.
Okay, now on this restart, it's going to probably be the most desperate restart so far of the night. Again, if you're going to make up a couple spots, here's the time to do it, if you can.
It's like we talked about on the last restart. They get more and more desperate. They start spreading out sooner, faster, farther. I mean, everything's just accentuated in these last few laps.
And you'll see here what guys can get away with laying back as much as possible. Because if you can lay back on a guy on the restart, it actually gets you a run. So you can pull out and have some momentum going by a guy.
Casey Mears in that 25 car has not stopped since lap 110. He's in the 2nd spot behind Clint Boyer, who stopped on lap 134.
These guys anticipated a little bit better on this one. I think they may have taken off before the line here just to get some. But you see them already making a move.
Some blocking there, but Boyer couldn't pull that off.
There's Casey making a move on the outside. Casey Mears.
With help from a teammate behind him, Jimmy Johnson.
Yep, Hendricks lined up.
And that Jeff Gordon guy's in there.
Whoa, McMurray slides to the outside. This will be interesting.
Wow, Kurt Busch in the 2, right on the bumper of his brother in the 5.
Great move by Casey Mears. I'm telling you, that's a phenomenal move on tires that are 18 laps older than the rest of these guys.
And he knew if it was going to happen, that's when he had to do it.
Drifts up in front of his teammate Johnson. Those are 3 Hendrick cars. The 25, the 48, and the 24.
Whoa.
But here's the wild card, Hendrick's car on the inside, the 5 car. pushing that 07 back to the front.
And he doesn't have any teammates.
He almost pushed him out of the track.
He sent him off into that corner, all but sideways. Boyer was up on the wheel, sawing on that thing getting in the first corner.
Yeah, he's just getting his breath back right now.
You got that right. Looking in the mirror, and here comes the 5 to knock you in the next corner.
You can see how tight they are. Chevy's at the front of the field.
And the way this whole thing's shaking out with Kyle and the Hendrick deal, Kyle really doesn't have any teammates in this race.
No.
He doesn't see it that way anyway.
Yeah, he doesn't see it that way anymore. I'm sure he's a Hendricks teammate, and he's a Hendricks driver until the end of the year. And he's going to be true to that. No ifs, ands, and buts. But at the same time, he's got something to prove to the guys at Hendricks to say, hey, you might want to keep me around. I can still win races.
11 to go. Okay, we'll keep an eye on the leaders here. Let's go back and watch the move by Mears. Trust me, they tell me it's coming.
All right, there you see it. Now, Boyer's looking in the mirror right now. He's going to try to block the 25 car, but he can only do so much because also the 48's coming. That was just a perfect restart pass.
And that's a perfect restart pass, and that's a power move right there. Those guys did it coming up through the gears. That's just a power move.
Remember, Mark Martin had his mirror full on the last lap of the Daytona 500.
Oh, Jimmy Johnson.
Oh,
we got a guy on the wall. Here we go.
Nemechek and
Vickers. Vickers gets turned. Nemechek down on the bottom.
Caution's
I thought
out.
those guys were going to save it.
I thought they both had it saved there for a minute.
There's Brian rolling again. Oh boy, another restart.
Yes.
Let's go back and take a look.
Well, I think these guys just all had a... I thought they were going to have a whole big run there, but I think Nemechek he just lost downforce on that car and slid up into Vickers.
Yeah. And they made contact the first time and got away with it. It was the second time overcorrecting that they got up into each other. And all that happens within about the length of a football field.
Right.
I mean, you're left, you're right, you're left, and then you're into somebody, and then it's over with. You're just hanging on, trying not to do any more damage than you can.
It's our 8th caution of the race.
Oh, just clipped him. So who was in front when it came out?
We're told by scoring from NASCAR, car 24. This is on board with Vickers.
No help right now. Still 3. Keep coming, bud. Keep coming.
And you've had that happen. I've had it happen. You got it saved. You're like, yeah, man, I got it saved. Oh!
That's what I was going to say. That's a long time between scraping the wall and having it still go straight and then getting hit again. It's like, oh, my goodness. I didn't see the 24 get around the 25, even though that's what they have scored.
Hanging out pretty good. You might have to do something to keep that secure.
Now let's go back. Watch the wreck and the lead. That's Gordon in the 24. On the high side of Mears.
Yeah, 24 was past him for most of the way. You know, there was a loop there somewhere.
Yeah, there is a scoring loop over there which picks up where the cars are. And that's when the caution comes out. They're right.
Yeah, there are 18 scoring loops around this 2.5-mile track. NASCAR reverts to the previously passed scoring loop for scoring. except at the end of the race when they will use video to determine the running position.
Did I say the last restart was going to be the most desperate?
Yeah.
I didn't mean that. I want a halfway stand by
Okay,
that.
halfway stand by that one. But I'm going to say something. That scoring loop thing has been a huge improvement in this sport. That's not a judgment call right there. It's in black and white. It's in the numbers that come up on scoring. You know, Jeff Gordon. If not, we'd be riding around for another 5 laps as crew chiefs argue with officials down on pit road.
Be a single file restart inside of 10 to go to pit road and Marty.
Well, Jeff Gordon's team, Bill, has worked extremely hard on this 24 car tonight, and they've made several changes to it. You're out front now, believe it or not. Who works best behind you?
I don't know about anybody. We really haven't worked enough with anybody today. We haven't been real great. We're about the best. We're about the best we've been the whole race right now. I think hopefully our teammates will be right there pushing us along.
He's got a couple teammates behind him to help out. That never hurts, Ralph.
Jamie McMurray has fought his way all the way back to third. Larry Carter, is your car good enough to win this thing?
Well, I don't know. I wish there was a little more Fords and some more help up there for us. It's a lot of Chevrolets up there, but anything can happen in the last few laps, so we're just going to cross our fingers and try to bring it back.
Bill, what a night they've had. Penalized and now back to the top 3.
See how it all plays out in the closing laps.
Well, I mean, you know Jeff Gordon's got to be pretty happy with having a teammate behind him. I mean, that's huge on a restart with only 8 to go.
Jeff Gordon is looking for his 12th restrictor plate win and his 59th restrictor plate race. Right now, Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Sr. tied with 11 wins at restrictor plate tracks. Saw Jeff Gordon with Richard Petty before the race. Richard, 10 wins here. Gordon with 6. He's the race leader. They come to the line. They get the green flag. 7 to go.
And you'll see Gordon hung back there. He did not want to get any gap in between him and the 25 car so they could make a run on him.
No, he wanted to keep the pack compressed. Closed up. He wanted it where Boyer took off a little early, and those guys behind him got a good run on him and went around him on the outside.
I think if McMurray's going to have any shot, he's going to have to jump up there on the high side, and hopefully somebody's going to come with him, but Johnson won't. But maybe the 07 of Boyer could get there.
And they've already worked over Boyer going in turn 1, and 2 or 3 of them have got by him like instantly, and that totally catches me off guard because Boyer had been protecting that inside when he was up front. He protected it like it was gold.
Chevy, Chevy, Ford, Chevy.
You know, McMurray's just going, oh, man. Looking out the windshield, looking in the mirror.
Where's Carl?
It's all Hendrick cars. And Carl is in 6th.
6 to go.
And if he jumped out, whoa, and here comes a 5 car flying up on the high side. Taking anybody that will go with him.
Right now, that would be Biffle if he can get there.
But remember the 500, it was one from the outside, man.
But yeah, the 26 has got to jump out in front of that 5 car right now if he can. And doesn't. And now he's going to get a push.
Ralph?
Oh, contact.
Boy, there was contact in there, and everybody's cheering down here in the 26 pit, but he's on the outside, which is where he really needs to be right now. On the bottom, his car is very loose. He's just hoping he can get somebody to shove him around the outside.
There's going to be a shove here in a second. Oh, Mir's the loser there.
I mean, look at the Kyle Busch, she turned left, man.
Left, right down across the hood of the 48, and he's going to be leading this thing in a minute.
Kyle Busch in the 5 car, trying to win 2 NASCAR races on the same track in the same day.
How cool would that be? I don't care. That would just be phenomenal.
You're fine, you're fine, you're fine. 2 to these guys back here.
Now, which way is the 48 his teammate going to go?
I was just thinking the same thing.
He's got 2 Hendrick teammates behind him, the 48 of Johnson and the 24 of Gordon. Gordon's in the high line behind McMurray.
Oh, man. That 5 car loose.
And he's still in the gas.
He doesn't know any other way.
He has driven that car that way all night long. He's done it down here with the Busch car in February. Every time he comes to this place, he drives the car looser here than anybody I've seen.
Now, here's where it's going to get hairy. I mean, 48 is on that 5 car, and he's on his bumper really close to the corner. It'll turn that 5 car. And I think that's probably why the 48 is backing off when they get to the corner.
He's trying, the 48, by backing off a little bit like that, is trying to help the 5 car get into the corner. more than anything else. He could run up there, and if the car was a little bit better, all but bump draft.
Oh, nice move by Carl Edwards.
And Kurt Busch going to try and come along.
Oh, Busch gets a little bit loose.
He's got his teammate behind him in the 12, Ryan Newman.
Kyle Busch didn't want to see that, I'm going to tell you that. He don't want to look up and see Carl.
I don't know if the 5 has really looked in his mirror in the last 100 laps.
I'm not sure he has a mirror.
I don't really think he cares who's behind him.
Gordon pushing McMurray to the lead while his teammate in the inside lane loses the lead.
But he has to. That's the lane he's in. Those guys committed to the high line for right now, and they've got to push who's ever in the high line, whether it's your teammate or not. It makes no difference.
Jamie McMurray in that 26 car won in his second career start. Has not won in the last 166 races. Look at him go.
Now this is dangerous though for a leader. When they get out front, then that pack will charge up and they'll have a really good run on him, and that's where Jamie's got to make sure that he doesn't get too far ahead of this pack.
Jamie needed that on the last lap, not 3 laps ago. But if these guys can, if they stay pinched off and they can keep them run down here on the bottom like that.
They're getting a run right there. Boy, Carl Edwards in that 99 car had a run on the 5 car.
Less than 2 to go.
Kyle Busch is still hammering that thing right down on the bottom, sideways. That's incredible. He is doing a great job.
See, I think if Carl will get a really good run here and he could give the 5 a push, it would take the 99 to second.
McMurray in that 26 car led early in the race, was black flagged for passing below the yellow line. Had to do a pass-through penalty, caught a break on a caution, has worked his way to the lead. Side by side with Kyle Busch as they come to the white flag.
Look at that. That 5 car is strong, man.
Not only is he strong, I'm telling you, he is trying to help that thing too. He's going to be in the gas all the way. I don't care how sideways this thing gets.
Last lap.
And he needs to be, because if they wreck right now, he's got to be the first guy across that loop.
Kyle Busch now has his brother Kurt behind him.
The one thing is Kyle Busch has the inside, and because of where the start-finish line here is, at this place, the inside line is the line if you can maintain it coming out of turn 4.
Will Edwards,
man, I'll tell you what.
Will Edwards help his teammate, or will he make a move for the win?
I don't know if he'll be able to make the move for the win.
Kyle Busch is the guy right here. He's your winner.
He's going to have the momentum, and he's going to get to the line.
Coming to the checkers.
Oh, whoa! That was close. I don't know.
Waiting for scoring.
I think the 26 got him.
It says 26 on the monitor.
Wow.
Great. My God. What an incredible finish.
It does not get any. I don't know who. Like I said,
that was incredible. I would have bet all the money in the world Kyle Busch had that thing when he came out of turn 4.
NASCAR's going to look at the video.
The 26 surged right there, right at the line.
It's like the Truck Series races that we've seen here in the past.
You are the man.
Where you think?
Jamie McMurray has won the Pepsi 400.
Great job, guys.
Man, that was great.
That's incredible.
Watch the 26 just get a surge right before the line.
It's his teammate right behind him, Carl Edwards.
Right there, the 5 had the advantage, and he had the momentum.
And here they are, and you see.
Now watch right here.
Right there. You see it start to move again.
Remember the finish in the 500? How about that?
That's good stuff.
That's incredible.
Jamie McMurray replaced Sterling Marlin after Sterling was injured in a crash. He won his second career start, but has not had much success. He changed teams. He went to Roush. He's gone 166 races without a win until this moment, just seconds ago.
And hats off to 5 car. He drove the wheels off that race car tonight for a second-place finish.
Last race at Daytona for this car, and this race will be remembered for how well the cars did and the drivers.
Hey, Wally and Bill, what I don't understand is about 200 or 300 yards before the start-finish line, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch's brother, moved up against Carl Edwards, and I think that's where Kyle lost his push right before the finish line.
Yeah, but hey, those guys aren't teammates, and he didn't. Kurt Busch didn't come here to help Kyle Busch win. He came here to win himself, and when he was doing that, he was fighting for position.
Absolutely.
Unofficially, it's Jamie McMurray, Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards, Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle, Clint Boyer, Matt Kenseth, Casey Kane, Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, let's watch what Larry was talking about on the 2 car. And you know what? I don't think it had anything to do with his brother. I think the 2 car was more concerned about beating the 99 car.
Yeah, he was definitely more concerned about it.
Yeah.
And you see, when he gets here, he's ahead of the 9.
Ralph Shaheen.
Well, I'm down here with Larry Carter. Larry, what an incredible night you guys led. You had the penalty, and you got back to the lead, and now you're the winner. Can you put into words how this night has been sitting on top of that pit box?
Well, I tell you, down here at Daytona is always really stressful. You know, you just kind of sit there and wait to see what's going to happen, and you always hope you can be there at the end and just have an opportunity to win it. And Jamie just did a super job. He never lost his composure. He just stayed up on top of the wheel, and we've had a pretty fast car this week, and you know, we were just lucky there at the end, and just glad to bring it home for Irwin and Crown and Jack Roush and Roush Ace Engines, and all those guys did a really good job.
What was the one key to you guys fighting all the way back through all that adversity?
Just Jamie. It was all Jamie. I mean, this is a race car driver's track. I mean, they don't do much qualifying, but in the race, it's all about those guys. And he just stayed calm, never got excited, just worked his way, you know, was real cautious with what he did, and he deserves it. He did a great job.
Bill, as you can see, there's not a lot of emotion in Larry Carter. I asked him, boy, you don't look like you just won. He says, hey, we got another race next week.
Are you kidding? He's thrilled. That's him being thrilled. 31-year-old Jamie McMurray, just the second Ford win of 2007. He goes to victory lane, and we'll take you there next on TNT. TNT Sports is live at the Daytona International Speedway. Pepsi 400 at Daytona. Time for the Pepsi post-race show. Plenty of fireworks here at Daytona. You can go all the way back to the Daytona 500 in February. Kevin Harvick just edges Mark Martin. You know something? That's like a mile compared to what we just saw.
This is just edges somebody right here.
Yeah. This is 5 1/1000ths of a second. Jamie McMurray will always be known as a Daytona winner. He's in victory lane, and here's Marty Snyder.
And what a long road this has been for Jamie McMurray. It's been October of 2002, his second career start. He won then, and here we are 5 years later. He's back in victory lane. 166 races. It took a while, but I'll bet the wait was worth it. Look at the high fives from his team diving into the mosh pit. This is one happy victory lane. We'll catch up to him. Did you ever think this day Jamie wasn't going to come again?
You know, I always said that, or I said it for 5 years, however long.
Larry Carter is crew chief.
I said it, you know, there would never be another victory like Charlotte, and when you wait so long to win, well, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's just, it's incredible, and every driver out here that goes through that knows how special this is. So, you know, I started crying, and I'm like, what are you crying for? Just because you're happy, you know, celebrate. But I'm happy for all these guys. We had a tough year last year, and Irwin and Crown Royal, Coke, everybody stuck with us, and I cannot believe I'm in victory lane at Daytona, of all places.
I can't tell you how exciting those last few laps were. How were they from the cockpit?
I didn't know it was the last lap. Carl, you know, I mean, he helped me win the race. He shoved me in and probably could have made it 3 wide, but he pushed me to the win. So huge thanks to Carl Edwards. But they said it's the last lap, and I knew we were going to rub doors all the way here. And I did want to get on the bottom because I knew the outside would have the run, but I don't believe it.
All right, you can relax now. It's true, Jamie. You won at Daytona.
Cool, thank you.
All right, Jamie McMurray in victory lane, and it's a very happy victory lane, Matt Yoakum.
And what an exciting day for Kyle Busch. He took the Busch Series win this morning, and last year he was second and almost took the Pepsi Firecracker 400 victory. What a final lap. Take us on that last lap, and if you could do anything over again as far as your strategy, who you could work with, what would you do?
Well, I think everything was kind of going pretty well there. You know, we were on the outside there pushing Jeff or somebody there for a little bit, and then there was an opening for me to go to the inside, so I ducked down and went to the inside, and then there was a hole a little bit later for Jeff to get in behind me, and the 48 was there, and he got shuffled out. But You know, we just didn't have much help from the teammates tonight, but, you know, our car, Coach Kellogg Chevrolet, was pretty fast, and it had to be the best Hendrick car out there. So proud of that effort by all the guys and just being able to run up front all night. And got to thank my brother there for pushing me at the end and sticking with me. But, you know, going into 3, I think if I would have lagged back just a little bit more, let Jamie get further ahead, I probably could have had a better suck and side draft coming down the front straightaway. But as soon as I started slowing down, he started slowing down. So there wasn't much we were going to get by with there.
Well, I know it was very close looking through the windshield. Let's try to roll it back so you can get an eye view of what it looked like on film, because it was a photo finish. Here we go, out of turn 2.
All right, this is a long ways back. I knew that he can beat me however much he wanted to down the back straightaway. I was just kind of relaxing at that point and looking at my mirror, making sure to see who I had behind me. And getting into 3, I figured, well, I'm ahead now, so he better slow it up and get back closer to my brother's front bumper and let him get ahead. So that's what I'm doing right here, is just trying to whoa up. And I figured, all right, that's probably good enough. I better get rolling here and come up and get the side draft off him. And I guess I must have got it a little bit too soon or something, but I don't know, maybe if I would have held it down low, I would have won the thing. From that angle, I won, I don't care.
Hey, great night tonight.
All right, thanks.
And here's one more look. Take a look at this little picture here. That is how close the final race in this car configuration was at Daytona. Look at this.
Yeah, that's pretty close. There ain't much there. Ain't much I could have done different, I guess.
As BP would say, man, oh man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ralph?
We're down here with Kurt Busch. Kurt, just like you and I talked at New Hampshire, this team's been building a tremendous amount of momentum lately, and you got another third-place finish on a restrictor plate track here tonight. Where's all the momentum coming from?
Well, it's just good to run at a restrictor plate race. For us, we were really close most of the night, really good on the long runs, but on the short runs, it seemed like all the cars could gang up and be there at the end. And for us, with the Miller Lite Dodge, well, it was a great run. Whether we won, pushed Kyle to victory, I really wanted to do that, just couldn't quite get there at the end. So I'm real happy with third place. Plate tracks have been good to us. We just need a little bit of luck the next few races.
Lindsay?
Clint Boyer rode to a 7th place finish. Clint, what are your feelings after leading there towards the end?
I was a little bummed out, actually. We just got too far behind. Had too many teammates behind us teamed up on us there at the end, but you know, Gil and everybody on the Jack Daniels Chevrolet just brought me a heck of a race car and gave me a good chance. We about got there. I tell you, we was out in the lead, and the ignition box of all things just cut out. And, you know, that was so weird. It took me a second to figure out.
Fireworks, of course.
It just took me a while to figure out what happened. We hit the other ignition box and it took off again, and you know, that was kind of a bummer. Got us set back, and then we get back in the lead, and I'm thinking, man, we might have them after all. And then you know, they just went around me, but it was a good effort, a good day for us. We needed a good point stay to get us back in this thing, but man, I wanted to win that thing.
And Matt, I know that Clint is not superstitious, but is it any irony that it's 7-7-0-7 and he ends 7th? Matt?
Could be, and Jeff Gordon had a great top 5 finish. At times it seemed like we were at Talladega. At other times it seemed like we were at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. How crazy a night was it for you?
It was nuts, man. We weren't very good. You know, we really struggled, and I got to give a lot of credit to this race team because they never gave up. They made great adjustments, and you know, this DuPont Pepsi Chevrolet was pretty awesome there at the end. You know, I got into the outside lane, made some good moves, and you know, then I was just kind of stuck there. And I made a bad move when I tried to go around the 26th outside. It was too early, and I thought I was in big trouble. But you know, I had the momentum, so I tried to go with it. Luckily, I got back to the inside and got back up in the top 5. And the top 5 is a great finish for us tonight because we had about a 12th, you know, 15th place car, and that was a great effort.
Typically here, you always have a certain lap in your mind. You need to start making your way to the front if you're at a certain point in the field. Was it different tonight?
I was trying to get the front every single lap out there. You know, luckily the cautions fell right for us where we got to get 4 new Goodyears, and you know, when the cautions fell, we were able to either come in and get 4 more, or we stayed out that last time, and we had track position, and you know, then we were able to get the lead. And I mean, unfortunately, I lost my drafting partner Casey Mears, and also in Jimmy Johnson. Looked like, you know, those tires finally wore out on Casey, so I knew I was a sit duck at that time.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, great job to Jamie McMurray too. He drove the wheels on that thing. He was completely out of control, but he got it to the finish line first. That's all that matters.
Jeff Gordon, 5th here at Daytona. Ralph.
Well, we're down here with Carl Edwards, who had his best restrictor plate finish of the year. Coming into tonight, he hadn't done better than 23rd, now a 4th. What's made the difference?
Well, through a lot of the race, it's just my team. You know, the stops were great. My teammates worked with me really well. And let me tell you, I came here to win this race, but I've never been so excited to see somebody else win. You know, to see Jamie McMurray in that 26 team get a win, that's really special. And, you know, there at the end, I had a decision. In turn 3, I thought, man, I could make it 3 wide or I could push him. And I just thought I'd push him. He's a good guy, and he deserves to win. He works hard. Just awesome to be a part of a race like that.
Bill, it's been kind of a tough year for the Roush team, but tonight, 2 cars in the top 5.
It almost looks like those guys had fun tonight. You know? Racing.
Well, now that it's over, they're having fun.
Okay, got a couple things to sort through here. Jamie McMurray led early in this race, but watch here, he's going to go down left side tires below the yellow line.
Got black flag for that.
Had to make a pass-through penalty and basically was a half a lap behind the pack.
Caught a caution at the right time to stay on the lead lap.
Then worked his way to the front, and then this is the finish. NASCAR began electronic scoring in 1993. Since that time, this ties for the second closest finish since they began electronic scoring in 1993. It ties with an Earnhardt, Dale Earnhardt win over Ernie Irvan at Talladega in July of 1993. The closest finish was at Darlington in March of 2003. Ricky Craven beating another Busch, Kurt Busch. So Jamie McMurray in victory lane. So we certainly want to thank all of our sponsors that participated in our TNT wide open coverage. Ford, Nextel, Miller Lite, AutoZone, DirecTV, our friends at Goodyear, Larry Mack and those hard-working people at Subway Restaurants, the Principal Financial Group, Toyota, and Pepsi. Let's check in with Larry and Mark Fine.
Yeah, Bill, I just got done wiping some more mustard off his face. Larry, let's talk. Definitely an eventful race tonight. No shortage of excitement. We know the winner was black flagged early in the race. He wasn't the only one with issues, though, but just because you had issues didn't mean you weren't going to obviously have a chance to compete. Well, I think those guys had to keep their focus. They had their cheerleader and their spotter cheering them on, coax them. Hey, we've got a good race car. We can make it back. I think it's been documented about Jamie McMurray going out of bounds below the out-of-bounds line, having to do the drive-through penalty. We talked to Clint Boyer. Ignition box failure there right in the middle of the pack. He flips that back and gets back up to the front, leads that thing late in the race. Give a call to Casey Kane and Kenny Francis. That car, the 9 car for Evernham, pretty good crash there on lap 3. That kept fighting back, and who would ever believe this would only be his second top 10 finishes? But I think, all in all, Mark, you've got to give a huge call to the Roush Fenway group. This is a racetrack that Chevrolet has been normally the dominant manufacturer over the last 5 or 6 years. They've won 11 of the last 13 races. The Cat in the Hat, Roush Fenway, all 4 of their 5 cars up there in the top 7 or top 8.
Yeah, 11 of the last 13 coming into this race, and 7 straight before Ford got the win today. Bill, back up to you guys.
Thanks, you guys. Hope you enjoy the race. It was fun to watch and work with you. You saw the finish order on the ticker at the bottom of the screen. We're running the points for you now. Jeff Gordon now 277 over at Denny Hamlin. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 12th, but just 49 points ahead of Jamie McMurray. That's the final spot, obviously 12th, to get in the chase for the championship. This is why they sell tickets at Daytona and Talladega.
Well, it's a different race than we see in the 500 in February, and I think it's a funner race to watch, Kyle. I mean, because, you know, these guys are working a lot harder. Their cars are sliding around. And, well, it obviously doesn't get much more exciting than the finish we had here tonight.
Yeah, this had everything. This had, you know, a slick racetrack, so drivability was critical here, more so than the aero that we talk about all the time when we go to Daytona and Talladega. Pit strategy, whether it was 2, whether it was 4, whether it was pit, whether it was not pit, it didn't make any difference. And finally, it comes down to an 8 or 10 lap shootout, and it's some of the greatest race car drivers in the world. I've gained a lot more respect in the 6 weeks that I've worked up here with you guys for what these guys can do on a racetrack, because these guys are magic in a car.
It's amazing to watch week in and week out, and especially at the restrictor plate tracks. Next week, it's NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing from Chicago. Join us next Sunday. Our coverage begins at 2:30 Eastern Time with NASCAR on TNT Live, followed by the Countdown to Green, and then the race from Chicago. Now, coming up next on TNT, it's a special encore presentation of 24 by 24, wide open with Jeff Gordon. But this broadcast team is not done. We're going to the internet. If you want more post-race coverage from here at Daytona, go to NASCAR.com for the Jack Daniels post-race show. Our entire TNT crew will meet you there in just a matter of seconds. We'll have more